All right, here we are. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. How's it going?
Oh, hello everyone. I don't know how good it's gonna be, but it's gonna be an evening.
Man, I'm actually kind of in for like 2 evenings in a row because I already saw that Doc Dragon from the Backloggery is in the chat room, and on his request, tomorrow night on the Backloggery stream, I'm going to be playing a smorgasbord of random Switch eShop demos. And I already went and downloaded like over 50, and I can tell you it's going to be a time.
I appreciate you using a Scandinavian word to define that. Makes me feel very home being back on the stream after over here. I think it's over a year ago I was here now.
Yeah.
Well over a year ago, because I think it was April 2019 that you were here in North Carolina.
Yes, I think it was the week after the Bubsy video, so everyone was just like, "That's the Bubsy guy."
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you were known for Bubsy far and wide at that time.
But look how much I've grown, now I'm known for the CDI.
Now you're known for the CDI. Well, wasn't it when you were here in North Carolina that you actually got your CDI? Your CDI is North Carolinian, isn't it?
One of them is my Magnavox CDI I got with you. I had the consoleized, or I call the consoleized one, the smaller unit. I already had that before. And these days I'm trying to hunt down that TV unit, a TV with the built-in CDI, so that I can...
Because you just gotta have it. You gotta have another one.
Yeah, I gotta have it, right? It's like people buy
all in one.
8K televisions, but I'm gonna buy the CDI television and then proceed to live my life alone.
I see that there is 2 Canadian super chat from CF Gaming saying, it sure is boring around here. Wonder what Ganon's up to.
So I was saying before I was telling these guys that this game is pretty much a big blind spot for me. I don't really know much about it at all.
I mean, you've surely seen like the screenshots of the opening cutscenes or seen them in video.
I mean, I don't even think I've watched the opening cutscene. I've seen photos or pictures of screenshots of it, but I've never.
I mean, they're pretty mad. I mean, you know what? You know what I would say? I sure wish I could make an opening cutscene that good. I couldn't do it that good. Could you? Yeah. An animated cutscene?
I went to art school for 3 years.
Could you, Audi? Could you do one as good as this?
Yes.
Okay, good.
As I told you, I went to art school. I could have done marginally better than this. But, I mean, like, sure, let's give them some praise. I mean, it moves.
It moves.
Yeah, it has color. So,
There's more frames than you would expect, really. It's just that, some of the motions through those frames are a little weird.
More than one frame to be an animation, so we can say for sure it has more than one frame.
It is animated, all right. So yeah, this is a thing that came up not that long ago. Someone ported these games to PC. Say what?
It was a Christmas miracle of 2020.
Yes. I mean, do you want to share any details as far as you know about like the making of this? I know you've communicated to some extent with the person behind it.
Yeah, I think I'm partially to blame for it also, because I brought the CDI back to public knowledge after many years of being locked up. But yeah, the Dopley from Twitter just suddenly showed up one day and said, this is a project he spent, I think, 4 years on, because it was his way of training in GameMaker to figure out how to use GameMaker to make games. So he decided to remake these, which, I mean, probably raises some questions, but I don't have those answers. But they're pretty good, and what's important about them is that, for one, it preserves, I mean, regardless of the quality of the originals, preserving games is important. And second of all, it actually introduces some fixes, the remastered mode you're highlighting there. So pretty much all of the things that were annoying, most of the things that were annoying in the original has been fixed, control-wise.
So Dopley in the chat, is that the developer of this?
It should be.
Saying,
Yeah, that is. It's cool if he's here.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
Welcome.
yeah. Because the effort is amazing. I mean, as I said, quality of the originals aside, this is really well done. It's very accurate, and it also fixes those awful controls. Because the original CDI, when it comes to controls, most of them are just god awful.
But now, are the mechanics similar to the original? I mean, the controls are bad because the controller is bad, but are the mechanics similar or improved? Like, aside from, in terms of, momentum, hit detection, etc.
I think it's a little bit different in this version from what I can recall. Because, these are just approximations, I guess, of the original. I don't think you have the source code. That would be very surprising. But they play similar enough. I noticed that the jumping is a little bit different, but I'm sure Dopply in the chat could shed some light on this. But it plays similar enough that you get mostly the same experience, just a little bit better, because you can use a standard controller, first of all. You don't have to use either the wand or, I guess, the Sega Genesis-like pad on the CDI is okay. But the biggest problem with the CDI games is that even though it has 3 buttons on the controller, they usually only use 2, because most of the wands and stuff only had 2 action buttons. So we run back into that issue with the Amiga games and whatnot.
But yeah, I'm using a Super Famicom Classic Edition controller through the 8BitDo G-Bros adapter for this, and I was able to set up good button mapping for it.
You're basically doing a correction of history, because this was the Philips CDI used to be a prototype for, or was supposedly a prototype for, the Super Nintendo CD unit, and would then have been controlled with the Super Nintendo controller. So now you're playing this game with the Super Nintendo controller, so it's kind of like a what if this actually did end up being the CD unit for Super Nintendo.
I just want to say that we had a 20 euros from David.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you. With a cool dancing pear saying you are amazing. Well, thank you.
Well, you are amazing.
And also, I see that Dopply says that he completely remade this from scratch, no source code, just lots of careful watching, playing, and note taking.
Well, and it's fun to hear that you're an MLiG viewer, because Coury was actually just saying before the stream you came across something where the word shimmering was used to describe scrolling with no interpolation and non-integer scaling on, what was it, your something? It was something about.
I saw it on a Retro Core video.
Okay, and I was kind of like, well, that's funny, because I actually just read shimmering and the README file for this game that was describing the different sizing modes, and it said, some people find this to be displeasing or something like that. And you were just saying, I think you invented, you being me, I think you invented the word shimmering for that. And I don't know, it would be funny if that, because that's just what I decided to call it in that high def NES.
Because I remember,
episode.
When we were.
That's what I've called it ever since.
A couple years ago.
Mike
had called it like a
swimming. He called it swimming.
Swimming, yeah, or like kind of a ribbon effect.
Yeah,
I described it.
He called it swimming. So, but I believe I've got the mode on this set that should not have any shimmer. Oh, Dopply says that was for us. Well, it was noted and appreciated. I'm all about that shimmer. I'm all about hating that shimmer.
Well, Electron Ash is saying that a non-integer scale has always been called shimmering, as far as I know. Okay.
I don't remember.
Maybe you read it somewhere, and that's where it got.
I don't remember reading it anywhere, but that was just that's what it's doing. That was the first time that I was intensely aware of it.
There was a $2 donation from Demo Kirby saying test without remastered mode real quick.
I already did a little bit. It's kind of a pain to reboot the game. I don't think there's a way to get back to the menu without it on. But I do know you have to duck to open the menu. I believe picking up rupees is difficult because I couldn't figure out how to pick up rupees.
You have to hit them. You have to hit them with your sword.
Oh, okay.
Just like how you talk to people, you have to stab them in the back.
Gaming Blows is saying you should turn both of us up.
I mean,
Can we go any louder? I mean, I can turn myself up from here.
I've turned Audi up
I've
turned Audi up as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll see if I can turn myself up a little bit.
We also had a $5 donation from Craig Watt. Thank you. He says, "My boys, this stream is what all true warriors strive for."
Well, you're about to hear the source of that quote as soon as I start the game here. Let's get final levels on Coury and Audi first, though.
Okay. Okay. People are saying that I'm okay.
Oh, so I'm quiet?
Well, now you sound quite a bit louder now.
Yeah, I raised it by like 5.5. So if I need to go down a little bit, tell me.
I think it sounds good now. Sounds good.
It does sound good. I'll turn Coury up just a tiny bit more on my end, I guess.
There's also $4.99 from Cyclops823 saying, "I love this channel and both of your voices, especially when narrating is music to my ears."
Well, I don't
that's
know how many people would hold that opinion, but thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like, I can't stand your voices.
All right. Well, shall we go for it? Here we go.
Roll.
On some of the dongos.
Here comes the infamous scene right here.
Gee, it sure is boring around here.
My boy, this piece is what all true warriors.
I like that it zooms in on him too, before he the background doesn't move at all.
Your Majesty, Ganon and his minions have seized the island.
His complexion is kind of unsettling on that lizard. It's like he's food poisoned.
Great, I'll grab my stuff. There is no time. Your sword
I mean,
is enough.
we were talking about how this is
How
not.
about a kiss for luck?
It's not video. It's just frames of animation.
Yeah,
strung
this
together.
is literally just the frames.
Which
strung
it's
together.
actually kind of a lot of frames, really. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's.
Of evil. You must conquer each. I guess I'd better get going.
I mean, there has been effort applied, you know.
Yeah.
Where do you wish to go?
There's a $4.99 donation from Benjamin Dovidio saying, "Anyone that says you're all too quiet should turn their volume up."
Well, it's just it's always difficult to balance me with everyone else.
So here's the world map.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sure this is to Dopley's credit, but I mean, this scrolls nice and smoothly.
Yeah.
By the way, this is on like a 2012 computer I'm actually playing it on, so
Oh, so that can actually run the CDI.
yes.
Very, very impressive.
I don't know if the original map scrolls this smoothly.
I don't remember. I didn't sit around and scroll the map to my liking so much, but like, I'm pretty sure this scrolls smoother in general. Yeah.
Do you have a recommendation for where to start? How well
No.
do you know this game?
It's been quite a few years since I only played for this one, Face of Evil, and
Oh,
then
okay.
for some reason I didn't feel compelled to play the other one. I mean, this here runs way smoother than the CDI version does. Way smoother.
There's a $5 donation from PA Felton. Thank you, saying, "I didn't realize you were playing Cyberpunk on PS4 tonight." That's what Audio was saying.
Oh no!
You die already?
I died.
It looks like a giant enemy crab right there.
I mean,
Oh, it's like one hit.
I think
death.
it's. You think it's supposed to be a Tektite?
It could be a
I don't
tech,
know.
right?
I mean,
So the only involvement that Nintendo had on these games, as far as I remember, from back in the day when we did some articles on this game and talked to the developers, Nintendo were involved in the sense of just kind of telling them yes or no on designs, on the looks of things. So could be a tech type, could also just be a pile of shit. So we'll never know.
I mean, it's so. Now, is there? Sometimes I feel like I can jump higher, and sometimes I feel like I can't.
if you hold up and jump, does he jump? do you
No,
jump?
it almost seems like he.
Like he automatically does it when he can jump up to someplace.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh look, Tektide just randomly spawned.
It might be a Goma.
There's a $5 donation from Dopley. Dopley himself. Thank you. Saying
Thank you.
It's an honor to have one of my favorite channels play something I made, even if it is really dumb. Try to have fun and keep up the good work.
Well,
Oh, it's not
we're
dumb.
gonna
I
make-
mean,
Troy's gonna have to beat this on his own time, I think, too. I think that he's
no
He's
one
gonna try
I'm
tried.
obligated as a
Yeah.
Zelda fan.
This is
Yeah.
gonna
Oh, wait,
turn
here we
into
go.
like Tri's favorite.
It's a Goma.
Yeah, pretty good.
I mean, at one point, I'm sure that he saw this and he thought, "How bad can it be?"
Well, I
we
absolutely,
all thought that. That was
I absolutely had intentions to.
I want to like I need a T-shirt with the CDI logo on it that says "How bad could it be?" And then like because everything in the '90s, I only saw the CDI in GamePro and these magazines,
Mhm.
and the one thing that the CDI does well is basically render something on screen in a single frame, right? Like the screenshot, you get amazing screenshots from the CDI because it's all high res, it's all very detailed. But then when you play it, you realize that, oh yeah, it's a CDI game, which now means something very different to me than what it did
Yeah.
when I saw it in the magazines. And I remember seeing this and wanting it throughout my entire childhood. I used to see this in like the glass cabinets at the electronics boutiques, and like just like, man, what wonders does this machine hold for me? And now I know.
And then you have
Oh.
3 of them. Or you want a third one now.
Well, I have 3 of them. I want a 4th one, and I have a pretty large collection. So what happened after I started appearing on DF pretty regularly, and somehow I think John sent out the rumor that I would want more CDI games. People started sending me games, so it's always fun to open my mail now. It's like makes you miss the days of getting like threatening
Like good
letters.
stuff.
Cyrus came straight from the crater to
There's $2 from Monty G saying thank you, saying Astro City mini stream next week. That might be fun to do. That might be fun. I got mine arrived on Friday.
Mine arrives on Monday tomorrow.
I mean, the game lineup on it is incredible.
Yep.
And did you order the arcade stick?
So I ordered the D-pad because the
Okay.
unit itself has
Mhm.
stick, so I figured like I get both experiences this way.
The-
Not a big stick person anyway.
Right. I mean, I mainly got it so I could use it with other things.
Hmm.
Like if I could use it on maybe like on my super gun or like use it on the Mister. And
Right.
it is like it's a great stick.
Oh yeah, I've seen people
Right.
mention already that like it's really good quality.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
kind of regret not ordering it, but
it's
hey-o.
it's heavy. It is heavy, and it's pretty awesome. The control pad is surprisingly good.
Mhm.
I was unsure what to expect, but holding it, you know, what it feels like is something that would have been released like around, like it would have been released for the Master System at some point. It feels like something that would have been released for the Master System, and it's like, but the only difference is that it has 6 buttons and a Saturn style D-pad. But it's surprisingly good. It is surprisingly good. I like it.
it's probably my favorite era of Sega on
Mhm.
that actual like unit. I guess for most people, the Astro City. I don't know how like big that era of Sega was in the United States. It certainly wasn't big here in Europe, but
Right.
there's so many cool like fighting games, and of course, I think most people are interested in like Death Adder. I
Oh,
guess
for
that's
sure.
the game that like most people wanted to talk
buy
about.
things?
You have to like hit the item you want, I believe.
Oh, I see.
But do you have enough rupees?
Yeah, I've got quite a
You
few.
have 17
I
rupees.
have enough to buy everything.
And now we bought something, so
There's a $2 donation from Mitch B. Thank you. Saying, now you must die. I'm assuming that's from this.
What's the
Yeah, so
what's the lamp?
the lamp lights up the room. Try.
Oh,
when you go to the castle later on, there will be several rooms. I'm not sure in this remastered mode if it's been changed, but in the original, when you go to the castle, there's several rooms that just turn pitch black. Like you can't even see yourself, can't see anything, and or can you maybe see yourself? I don't know. But the entire room at least turns black, so you have to use the lamps to light up the room for like 10 seconds. Basically, you have to buy quite a few lamps, is what I'm saying. And quite a few ropes, because in order to get up, because most of these dungeons go vertically, so you have to go up with the ropes.
Now, what happens if I run out of lives? Do I just go back to the world map, or is my progress like not saved at all? Or is it maybe
There's a continue feature.
Okay. Even in the original?
Yeah, there's a continue feature. Is there? Yeah, I'm pretty sure of this.
Unless
I think the timekeeper unit, though, you have to be careful about this.
There's also a $2 donation from Mo Zamboni.
Thank you.
Thank you. Saying, apparently you can shine a turd.
Oh,
I mean, if I go over the emoji, it's actually a pile of poo. That's what it says.
You can shine a pile of poo.
Yeah, you can shine a pile of poo.
Now, how's the frame rate compared to the original? I mean, this is quite a smooth.
Oh, it's astronomical. I mean, this is the original CDI can't even like do basically 12. So, do you know anything about how the CDI works? Or rather, doesn't?
Only little bits that you've told me, I guess. Whoa.
Yeah. So basically, to simplify it, the CDI. For the most part, has absolutely no hardware to support things like scrolling, sprites, anything like this that you would find in actual game consoles. Because it was envisioned as a kind of entertainment unit, usually for educational and these kinds of things. So that's why you have the wand, for example, just coloring books and these kinds of things. And then, so everything you have to do on the CDI has to be rendered in software. And which means basically everything is going to be quite slow, right? There's no support. So I think some games eventually use the digital video cartridge, which was a thing to upgrade the video capabilities of it. I think that allowed some extra RAM to be used in the games, and as such, some of them only run if you have that cartridge. These games are not part of that. But yeah, the CDI just wasn't built really for extensive game ideas.
There's also a $5 donation from Container 7. Thank you. Just saying CDI.
So how do I use the lamp? Do I need oil or something? Because there's no.
Can you go? Is there an inventory screen?
Yeah, there's an inventory screen, but it's like not a selectable item. You have to unlock the lantern first to light up dark rooms. Also, if you need some hints, I added hints. Oh yeah, that's right. Morsi the greedy shopkeeper will give you items you need for the right price. You should return to the face here on. You should return to the face here on the far right once you have bombs and a lantern. Okay, I have bombs, but I guess I have to get like a lantern to use the lantern capability.
Yes.
Which is probably not in this area.
So are you also noticing that like it's kind of hard to discern what is kind of a walkable path and what's the background?
Yeah, I mean I'm adapting, but I definitely remember hearing that as a major criticism against these games. But it's for a game that you go into with low expectations, it's in some ways maybe more readable than you would think. So is the rope for escaping a dungeon area or something?
We're going vertically, I think.
Yeah, you go vertically with it.
Oh,
okay. There was also a $4.99 donation from Benjamin DeVideo again. Thank you. Saying this has similarities to 90s CD-based semi-educational computer games.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that. I mean, that's what I always thought. One of the things I always related this for some reason to like Mario is Missing. Or something like that. Like it just.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I was duped into asking for Mario is Missing for my birthday in 1994.
I'm sure it taught you a lot, though, right?
It taught me to be a
That's
little
for
more
better games.
a little more careful. 'Cause I was like, oh, because like the
Well,
Super Nintendo had been out for
It
so
looks
many
like the Super
years.
Nintendo. It's got the Super Nintendo version of Mario in it.
I know, and I only had an NES, so I was like, oh, I was like, so there's a new Mario game that I could actually play on my NES, and it looks like the Mario World style, and it's Luigi instead of Mario, and Luigi is better.
Help.
Yeah.
Ganon froze the fountain. I'm stuck.
Wow.
Did she
alright.
say Ganon?
Help. Ganon froze the fountain. I'm stuck.
Help! Ganon froze the fountain. I'm stuck.
I see Mobius Strip Tech is in the chat. I want to throw a big thank you to Mobius Strip Tech, who installed a FRAM mod in my Saturn, so I never have to worry about losing saves if the battery dies ever again.
Yep.
And he also did a big tune-up on my launch childhood Sega CD.
Nice.
He recapped it, put a new belt on the CD drive, and just gave it an overall cleaning so that it will last for a long time to come.
I am unfortunately in need of a tuning to my Famicom disk system.
Oh, that
Oh,
one is that's a bit of a work to get that going again, huh?
I mean, it's been very reliable for me up to now.
Do you have the twin unit or do you have the actual
I've got an
Famicom?
actual FDS, yeah.
Okay.
Whoa, look at these ugly things.
There's also a $2 donation from Dennis Batista saying, "Watching from Panama. Never heard of this game." Well, you're not missing out on much.
I mean, this is a major part of history. This was,
I know, right? Needs to be preserved.
Nintendo, for whatever ill-advised reason, let Philips make or outsource development of Zelda games for the CDI. I do not know why they did this, but they did do this.
Well, you gotta keep in mind also, this was someone's Zelda game when they grew up. Someone out there grew up with the CDI, and the only Zelda game they played was this one.
But they learned to like it, I'm sure.
Let's not go too far, but they at least played it. So,
It was good because they had nothing to compare it to. But I mean, I'm sure this was some people's first Zelda game, and
I'm sure
they may
many
have
Dutch
played
children.
another one for a long time after this one.
Oh yeah, I don't think I would be too high on this series. Yeah, so do you know why these were made, Try? Like these Zelda games?
I'm not sure if I know all the details of the history, but
So basically, I mean, it's oh, go ahead.
No, I didn't. I was just gonna speculate on it, but I didn't know.
It's a story. It's a story that's been told before, I think, many times. But basically, Sony and Nintendo had a deal to develop a CD-based add-on for Super Nintendo, and Nintendo kind of famously backed out of that deal with Sony by announcing that they had done a deal with Philips instead, without really alerting Sony too much, and that's what led to the creation of the PlayStation unit itself, because they were kind of pissed about that, I guess. But then Nintendo, just because of I think basically the sales of the Mega CD or the Sega CD in the US was not that good, and also just kind of fading out the Super Nintendo itself. It's like, well, there's no need to do this. And they pulled out a deal with Philips as well. But in order to do so, they needed to come up with some terms for breaking up this agreement. Or the contract already stated that, like, if they don't come, to make the system, there's some terms in there that allows Philips to make use of 6 or 5 characters from Nintendo's library. These were defined characters, so, and then they basically were like, okay, well, then we make a game based on Mario, one based on Zelda, one based on Link, and that's how
Smart.
it went. Well, it was smart. I mean, imagine this is what's so amazing about CDI, right? So you have a deal for your new system coming out, which uses CD capabilities and all this stuff, and you can actually make use of Nintendo's mascots. Like, no, this is the biggest dream a new competitor on the scene could ever have, right? It's like
Right.
you struck jackpot. And you'd think that a conglomerate like Philips would just throw millions and millions of dollars on each project to make sure that these, not just compete with Nintendo, but exceeding them. But what they did was just outsource it to like Russia and Massachusetts for like a penny, and then like, yeah, just make something quickly. Like Mario goes to a hotel. That's fine, right? And he eats spaghetti. That's a very important plot point. And yeah, then we got these games. And it just baffles me that even back then they didn't think of just the fact that like we have an opportunity here. No one else is ever gonna have this. Let's make the most of it.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they just wanted to get it out quickly. And
Yeah, that could be, but I mean, so there was these two games, but there was another Zelda game, Zelda's Adventure, which is from a different developer, and that spent, I think, like 3 or 4 years in development before it came out. It's really late and it's quite rare. But that's even
It's
worse
no
than
better.
these, though. No, that's even worse.
It's overhead though.
Yes, that doesn't mean anything, Try. That means nothing. It is awful. I actually tried to play it several times because I got it a few years ago and thought like you, it's overhead. It's like the old Zelda games. It should be better, right? And it's impossible to play. It's one of those games that it makes you not just hate the developer, but his entire extended family, just because he was part of this development. Because it's just awful. It's awful in every single way.
Ah, so I can see. Look, there's ideas here. It's like, oh, you got deeper into the level. Here's like, you can just jump right there now. See?
real checkpoints,
Wow.
like warp spots.
Or wait a second.
TV
Wait. Is this? Oh, this is a new area. That's not where I exited from. It's a new area.
Mhm.
TV Tunes is wondering what game console should you get when you're on a budget? What budget are you looking at?
I mean, are you talking new stuff? Or are you talking, like something to play all retro games on, like Mr. Etc.? Are we talking like I want to get into one retro console? I think NES is still pretty reasonable to get a lot of the basics for NES, but Super Nintendo is like kind of expensive now.
Yeah.
I think the
Genesis
game
is
is
still.
still pretty reachable too.
Genesis, you can still get like complete games pretty reasonably for Genesis.
Unless it's Chicky Boys.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you got that finally.
Finally. Yeah. I guess I should tell everyone in the chat that I decided to go ahead and just purchase Chicky Boys, which is the last black grid box game that I needed. So I have a complete black grid box collection now, and they all have manuals and everything. Complete.
All of them are complete with manuals, huh?
Yep.
Well, I thought some were not.
You
You had to get a manual for Moonwalker.
Yeah, I got a manual from Moonwalker. A very genuine, generous viewer of the show had an extra one that he had gotten in a bundle deal of he bought a whole bunch of Genesis games, and there was an extra Moonwalker manual in there.
Pretty please.
And I did not have a manual for Forgotten Worlds. So I'd actually bought a really cheap Japanese manual for it, but then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to. If I'm gonna call it complete, I'm gonna have to get a U.S. manual. So I bought a $7 U.S. manual for it.
Oh. Sometimes you just gotta do that stuff.
Sometimes you just gotta say just get it, like finish the collection and move on. I mean, I have no other things that I want to collect. The only things, this is only the second like focus collecting thing I've ever done in terms of games. Like is that and working designs games.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I don't even have like all. I just wanted one copy of all the working designs games, which I do. I was lucky in that I had a lot of the really expensive ones, the Sega CD ones. I got those all when they came out.
Then you had to get Albert Odyssey though, didn't you?
I think Albert. I mean, a lot of the Saturn ones I had to buy after the fact. I got Albert Odyssey at a point before it really got expensive.
Hey,
You got the lantern.
that shot of Link holding a lantern almost looked like artwork I could see in an official Nintendo manual. It was approaching it. So now I've got Firestone Lake, but I kind of want to go back to this. Was it this? No, it wasn't this area.
So TV Tunes is saying that their budget is $100. I don't care what video game console. Well, if you're interested in putting a little bit of like effort into making a certain console play more than what it was meant to play, as far as I understand, the PlayStation Mini is the most moddable out there, and has the most things to play for it, like different consoles and stuff. Like I guess I can even do like Dreamcast.
Wow.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be perfect, but I mean, it's.
But I mean,
it's cool
if you were just talking like $100 to buy like a real console that could, play a bunch of different things. Yeah, I mean, if you were thinking about a retro console, I mean, you can get almost most of the major ones for under $100, I would say, unless you wanted like a specific model. Some models might be more expensive, but NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, N64, PlayStation, you can get all those for under $100.
There's a $5 donation from Travis Suter. Thank you. Saying, you guys have been instrumental in my retro gaming setup. Just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you.
We have a lot more content coming next year than we had this year. Believe me.
There was at the beginning of the stream. I don't know why I just now thought of this, but at the beginning, before the stream started, actually, someone said remastered with Audi. Like, what does that mean? Like, the game now has Audi.
There's 50 SCK, which is
that's Swedish kroners.
Thank you from Velby, saying, what emulator is this running on? It's completely it's not being emulated at all. It's just completely
it's
port,
completely
right?
remade with Game Maker,
which is crazy.
It's using the original graphics assets and stuff.
If that's a Swede watching this though, that's quite late for him. I should know.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'm under the impression that staying up this late is not unusual for you, but maybe staying up as late as the entire stream would be.
Generally, yes. It's a little bit late, but for this, I'll do it. But no, pulling late nighters is not unusual for me.
And it's close to the holidays, and it's like you're almost you probably get like a little vacation for a little bit, so you have some time to relax.
Along with your more content next year, there's some big announcements coming from us together pretty soon too.
Oh,
but we're not making that announcement today.
Oh yeah. Should be pretty soon for that. It'll be fun.
Yes, there's a big announcement coming very soon. So follow us on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. maybe I'll be back for more CDI games. If they get remade, I'll be certainly back for them. Do any of you have a CDI unit?
I
mean,
do not.
I
I was supposed
wanted
to
get one.
I'm supposed to buy one at some point from Dan Coons, who had an extra one.
Oh, from
He had-
PSX Digital? The guy who modded
the guy. Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Apparently, he has one that's like the one is not compatible with the current RGB mod for it, but I think that he figured out a way that he might be able to do it. I don't remember which one he had. I'll have to ask him. But that was last year. I mean, I guess I haven't seen him since last year.
So you were mentioning earlier that someone fixed your Sega Saturn so you wouldn't lose your saves.
Mhm.
I got some bad news for you if you want to fix your CDI so you don't lose your saves on that, because the Timekeeper battery, the Timekeeper chip. Do you know the story about this?
No, is it just go bad, or is it?
Yeah, so the battery basically goes bad. I mean, obviously, like any other battery. And I think you did a pretty wonderful video not too long ago about like restoring save files and moving them to the computer and whatnot. But on the CDI, the battery's inside a chip, so you basically have to Dremel out the chip, because of course it is. I mean, it's designed by the Dutch, right? So it is impossible to really fix unless you want to just like get that out of the chips. You have to kind of cut out half of it and get the battery out, replace it, but then you also have to like literally mod it a little bit, because you can't just put a new battery in there. So you have to solder in some the wires. So it's a wonderful process, and I really recommend for anyone picking up CDI to just like get in there and get your hands dirty.
There is also a $10 donation from EB Chill 2. Thank you, saying Merry Christmas, guys. Coury, I stalked your PSM profile and noted a lot of Vita this year. Are you doing that with a PS TV? My Vita's analog sticks are acting up. Maybe the TV will be cheaper in the long run.
Oh,
Thanks.
you should definitely check out the video that caused Coury's list to be filled with Vita games.
Yeah,
You'll find it very relevant.
Yeah, the sharp scale PS TV hack is the reason for that. I tried a whole bunch of different stuff, and
you were saying earlier that was your favorite video you made all year.
Yeah, I mean, that was my favorite video of ours that we made all year, or that I made all year.
You actually played the game that I worked on in that video.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, wasn't Rabby Ribby in that?
Rabby Ribby is in there. I was the producer on that.
Yeah, it's I've not played very far into it. I tried to play it on the stream one time, and people are like, it's a little bit risque for our
It's a little bit risque, I suppose, but it doesn't really go over any limit. I mean, it's still
right.
It's still very much friendly. Just there's some pictures for Dad in there for him to enjoy.
But I mean, I was gonna say, like, the other videos that were not ours that I had just as much fun, if not more fun, making and being involved in was the Final Fight video for Digital Foundry.
Which we all worked on that. That was the video that I scripted and John edited. So that was the first kind of 50-50 production that he and I had. We had done Mortal Kombat, but he kind of I didn't edit or anything on that one. I just helped scripting and did some stuff on the back end there, and did all the research. But like on Final Fight, it was me and John like separating the work equally, and we had a lot of fun doing that. And one of the first ideas I had for was like, well, we got to animate the opening, and we got to have Try and Coury be Cody and Guy. Like, this makes sense, right? And I should have thought of our production schedule, because we had 4 days to make it. So we had to animate the opening, voice act it, and then make the whole script and episode in 4 days. We had a 5th day because God let us. But like, that was quite the week. But it turned out great. It's like a feature length. And,
You know, I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, but something I've I've discovered collaborating with you a few times is sometimes you're under this like super tight deadline and like somehow you get me to get my part done in time, and I felt like very little to no pressure to actually get it done. And then like afterwards, like I learned like, oh wait, this was like actually kind of down to the wire.
I don't like stressing people. I think people's best work come when they feel have fun and feel comfortable. So I generally take on all the stress myself, and then I just like, hey, why don't you come and have fun? You know, just come over for a day, and we'll just drink Kool-Aid and make Final Fight videos. And then like afterwards, you just realize that like I spent half that day crying in the fetal position. That's generally how I work. I saw some super chat questions about who would win in a fight between me, Richard Ledbetter, and John Lindman. This is quite the question.
It is.
I mean, Ledbetter is brittle. He's old. Can barely walk anymore. I'd kick his ass. John. Ooh, that would be a bloody fight.
Yeah,
I think John would come on top, but I think I would put some hurt on him, but he would probably come out on top.
It probably more has to do with like how recently John has read the comments in some of the videos, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean that's like his Bruce Banner power, right? It's like he just reads some YouTube comments and he hulks up. Coincidentally, we were playing the Marvel Adventures game from Square Enix, and the Hulk in that game looks exactly like John.
Big thanks to the Gaming Blows for that question. There's also a $2 donation from Potbelly Punch saying some new Doom 4 1.0 footage on Twitter just now. I had no idea that was even a thing.
Nope.
Shows you how much I know about it. I'll have to check it out. I do want to say that the other video that I probably had the most fun making this year is probably doing the Sega Visions issue #1 magazine read through with Classic Gaming Quarterly. If you haven't seen that video, it's a lot of fun. You get to see some of the old handwritten letters I got from Sega game counselors back in the day. Back when I would call them over and over again.
Whoops.
What's that?
I said I'm out of bombs. I don't know why I couldn't
Stop wasting your rupees.
I couldn't
Just go buy more bombs.
I couldn't get that to blow up for some reason.
Yeah, just doing that magazine read through is just a lot of fun, and that is pretty much my favorite era of Sega, is from like 1988 to 1991 probably.
The Sega Sound Team days.
Yes.
SST band.
Oh yeah. Just like that beginning, like I I always think of like the Genesis era, like before, like pre-gems and after gems, because I feel like when a lot of I guess Sega themselves specifically, but like other developers started using like the gems sound for the Genesis, a lot of them stopped making the same kind of impression on me.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, there's definitely some examples of really good music after that. It's just recently thinking about the recent Mega Drive release of Mad Stalker.
Yeah, from Yunao Kishi. Yeah, a good friend of mine.
Really?
And, he and I have known each other for many years because I used to work a lot in Japan with preservation of Piece 98 software and this sort of stuff in the previous life. And so Yonao and I have known each other for many years. And the funny thing about Mad Stalker is that I was having dinner with him. This was probably in 2013 or 14 when I was in Tokyo. and he mentioned to me, because we were talking about Mad Stalker, and he mentioned that like, oh yeah, I remember actually doing a Mega Drive version of that game, but it was never released. And I was like, oh, I'd love to like hear the sound, one day. And now we're actually playing. Now the game has released, and we can all play it and listen to it, and it's amazing. Because I just remember that short mention he made back then. Never imagined it would actually be resurrected and finished. Because
I mean, I was just. I wish I had bought it. I went on Amazon to look for it on Amazon Japan today, and it's like only third-party sellers are selling it. So hopefully it does get some sort of reprint from Columbus Circle. But at the same time, I don't think they ever did a reprint of. Maybe they did do a reprint of Glay Lancer.
They
which I didn't realize
talked about it. I
selling
think
for
it
like
did
over
come
$100
out.
now or something.
Yeah, ironically, they released Glay Lancer again with the idea of making it more available, and then that reprint basically shot up in price too. So it's both of them have become kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Obviously not as expensive as the original, but I do think they put out I actually prefer the reprint of Glay Lancer because of the artwork. So
yeah,
but the build quality is
exactly. For those asking, it's just a stress ball from Enterprise Rent-A-Car, apparently. I found it laying there, and I'm just
should I not be here?
using it.
I don't know why this boulder definitely looks bombable, but the bombs don't seem to work.
Well, maybe.
Try. You'll need to get the power glove to blast that rock. Thank you.
I mean, I hope that Mad Stalker does get a reprint. I think I had it in my cart at one point, but I'm not sure if it's been dumped yet. But I mean, even just to try it out on the EverDriver McCheskey.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been publicly dumped or anything. I can definitely send you it to it. I can send you mine, but
I played the PC Engine version, but I have not.
Yes, the PC Engine version is a slight derivative of the Mega Drive version. It has even less effects than the Mega Drive version, and it uses the arranged soundtrack, which is quite excellent. But I think Mad Stalker's soundtrack to begin with is kind of, Yonao himself is kind of like a FM synth god, and it's so like based in that sound. It has to have that crunch that the FM synth gets. So as much as I love the arranged soundtracks, Mad Stalker is one that you kind of have to hear on the Mega Drive, especially the Mega Drive now. That's the definitive version of the music.
I missed out. I mean, because I was like the build quality of Glay Lancer. I was like, I don't know if I'll buy another one of Columbus Circle's releases, because it's made out of this like really soft plastic. It's kind of weird. Like the cartridge is like a really soft plastic. It's kind of see-through.
Yes, Columbus Circle. I worked on a couple of projects with Columbus Circle, and let's just say that the quality issue has been raised. So we'll see. It's been quite a few years now, though. So it's
because I mean, even if they raised it and they charged more, like a lot of people would be totally fine with that.
Unfortunately, this kind of comes down to the difference in the markets, and what has happened in the last few years that I've noticed also when I deal with preservation in Japan specifically is that Japanese retro game consumers, yes, of course, in the game and in the chat. But yeah, what's happened is that the retro community in Japan, primarily, I mean, there's of course exceptions, but most of them do not have this information source that we now have with My Life in Gaming and these kind of channels. And it's much more geared just the pure nostalgia of it, and usually like the illustrationists and the team behind it. So what you get from I think there's merits to both. I mean, when you get like a retro thing like Mad Stalker, you bring back Yonao and the original artist, and they do the new cover art, and this is authentic, right?
Right.
Whereas here in the West right now, we have all these amazing people like Dancoons and people making new hardware solutions and fixes to make the best experience. So if we just could combine these two worlds, which is what I've been trying to do a lot the last 2 years, to kind of bring both sensibilities together, I think, because my favorite thing right now in retro is homebrew and these new NES games coming out, the new Mega Drive games. That's what I enjoy most collecting, is actually these new games coming from new developers. So, this is very much my interest field, but it is very different. When I talk to Japanese collectors and Japanese developers these days, I don't get the same answers as I do when I work with Strictly Limited doing the Darius remakes and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, I mean, we talked about playing Astro City Mini next week, but I think that'd probably be more appropriate for me to, if it arrives this week, it should, is Paprium.
Oh yeah.
Mine is coming tomorrow. It's scheduled to arrive in the afternoon, so I'll definitely stream that with some people, probably you guys or something. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm definitely streaming that as soon as it shows up. Couldn't believe when I got the.
No one knew that it was.
Nobody knew.
Gonna happen.
I saw someone in the chat asking if I ever worked with 1983, and yes, I have been there, and I know the owner. 1983 is a retro shop in Japan, kind of similar to Beep, but it's a different kind of shop, more console based than computer based.
I mean,
But very cool
1983
to know
is
of
the year of Famicom.
Yeah, I guess that might have a correlate. Might be that.
I'm not familiar with that one. 1983, where is that?
I think that's up in Hokkaido.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure it's up north. So I generally work in Kyoto and Tokyo, but I've been to Hokkaido once. Beautiful place.
You're doing great, Link.
You guys went to Japan not too long ago too, because you guys did the M2
We know
documentary.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago now, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
It's been a little
You're
while.
doing great, Link.
Really quick, there was a $4.99 donation from O'Neill.
Thank you.
Saying good evening. With the end of the year upon us, would each of you guys give your top 3 games, new or retro, that you enjoyed playing in 2020? Do we want to? I mean, that's going to be in our.
I don't know if we want to
our year-end video.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want.
That's
Well, I don't have a
is
YouTube
coming
channel,
though.
so I can share mine, but
Yeah,
you guys should probably wait. Yeah, I would say that my top 3 this year. I'd say Samurai Showdown Collection from Digital Eclipse was very good. That's basically preservation done right. As much as a video game is a digital museum piece, and the amount of research and just the informational content that's in there is just insanely well done. So
Did you know that
you worked on that.
Yeah, I edited the interview videos and that.
Right. So you're one of the reasons why it's so good. And but I mean, what's so fantastic about that is that because I'm a huge fighting game guy, but what I noticed when I've shown it off to some people is that you start to kind of get a sense of context why these games were popular, why these competitive scenes exist today. Just looking at some of these videos and looking at why these games were actually popular to begin with. So I feel like even if you're not so much into fighting games, it's just a fun game to have to learn about them, and then you get so much more enjoyment. It's not just like a list of games, because that can be kind of overwhelming, right? When you just have a long list of games, and it's like, well, I don't really know much about them. I'm not really good at them. But here you can learn so much about them and then kind of try out the things that the people talk about, the things that are shown. So I think that preservation done right is to give and that's something I try to do on some projects I'm working on too, is just kind of context is so important. So that's my number 3, and then number 2 would be the Trials of Mana remake, which I know you played it.
We both played it.
We both played?
Yeah, we did a little video on it together.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was supposed to review it for Digital Foundry, but due to just COVID and whatnot, couldn't get it done. But I mean, again, just that's a game that kind of merges classic JRPG qualities with modern sensibilities. So you have this perfect merge of these two worlds. And that original is so special to me because I used to play Seiken Densetsu 3 so much. It was one of the first kind of import games I sat down, tried to understand as much I could, print out walkthroughs from various places of dubious quality, and just kind of really try to get through it. And I really love the original. And then, so the remake, kind of like with these remakes, right? The Zelda CDI thing, it's like you have all these quality of life enhancements, and it just was such a magical thing to see it in 3D and see it actually work so well, because it has this like puppet theater almost feeling to it. It's very theatrical. It's not overly dramatic, but it has this perfect fairy tale presentation.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed Trials of Mana remake. I think there was another RPG remake at the time though that took most of the attention. I didn't play that much.
It's like it was like
Some other game came
what
out.
is it?
at the
Is
same time.
like something like first fantasy or something like that.
It was something like that. It's like
Not many left, Link.
Ultimate Desire 8 or something. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
something like that came out. So, but yeah, Trials of Mana remake was be my number 2, and then my number 1 has to be Streets of Rage 4. That's one of the best
Yeah.
experiences I've had in my life playing games. It's just
Mhm.
the perfect brawler to me, and the music has so much to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm weird in the fact that I really like the music in the first Streets of Rage, and like the stuff that kind of came afterwards. I didn't like nearly as much. And there is a couple of tracks that like I really like in 4. Specifically the one the Rising Up track that plays during the elevator. Like I feel like that's just like the best piece in the whole game. It's kind of like a synthwave type
Yeah.
song.
Do you listen to synthwave much outside of like video game music stuff?
I mean, I do, yeah, but I mean, not. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff. There's like so much of it, which
Yeah,
that
that's
I
quite
don't
a
even.
few now.
But I mean, I do.
Yeah, I
I
really
mean, I
enjoy,
feel like it's the
Mitch
only genre
Ryder
of
and
music
whatnot.
that has really gotten me excited about anything in a long time.
Yeah, same. I guess it's a lot to do with nostalgia, of course, but
Oh
there's
yeah,
just so much fantastic music being made. Lately,
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Murder I've listened to a lot, and The Midnight. I really love The Midnight.
yeah, yeah,
Which has gravitated away from synthwave, I feel, but in a good way. They just kind of
right.
started moving in their own direction.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that probably I listened to Time Cop 1980,
Oh
1983
man,
like
yes,
more than like
great.
anybody else like all year.
I love his albums too. Yeah, so
Hmm.
he's also he collaborates with The Midnight here and there, and
Hmm.
he's really good. I'm not. I know some other people are really into like Carpenter Brute and Perturbator and these people, but it's gone a little bit too heavy for me.
Right, right.
I'm getting old, and I'm just kind of scared by.
Yeah, I mean, even stuff like Power Glove, I feel like is a little bit too heavy for then,
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
right.
Which I didn't even like. I think that Power Glove was probably my first like experience with synthwave music because I heard it in Blood Dragon, in Far
Yeah, I
Cry
think-
Blood Dragon.
Same for me. It was like which had
I forgot about that
Michael
game.
Biehn in it. Had Michael Biehn as the main
Yeah.
guy.
Yep.
My favorite actor, and also my hairdresser today.
Yeah, I see. Venice area is talking about FM 84, which
FM84 is really good.
I think it's one of their songs, or one of it's. I assume it's just one person. One of their songs in the last editor reel that I ever had to make. That I have made. And that was like 2 years ago now.
I'm surprised that apparently I've fully exhausted this area because I think that woman is still frozen. Oh wait, there.
Well, I mean,
What's the difference?
come back later.
between- Oh, what's this area? I haven't been here.
But I mean, I probably listened to that, and you know, it's there's not a lot that I mean, there's not a lot that I like really get, like a lot of music, like new music especially, that I really have a lot of interest in.
No.
And that's it really worked for me. And like one of my even though it's not synthwave at all, but it's more like pop music, is it has nothing to do with synthwave, honestly. But one of my favorite games that I'm going to talk about, and it'd probably be like a surprise and maybe to the annoyance of some people when I talk about it in the games we played in 2020, but I feel like the game that made the biggest impression on me all year was the hour that I spent playing through Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's an example of a game that, just to play through the story is an hour. But I've thought about that game and like listened to the music from that game, like outside of the game, just so like more than just about anything else that I've played all year.
Yeah, that music transcends the game itself, basically.
Yes, it definitely
also
takes
enjoy
it. Like it just accentuates the the gameplay just accentuates the music. So, I mean,
video game music is so important. I mean, video game music was the reason why I got into video games. I mean, before I liked video games themselves as a kid, I played like Gianna Sisters and heard Chris Holzbeck's music.
Right.
And this was what captivated me. And still to this day, I feel like I could play the best game in the world, but then if it doesn't have good music, it really just brings me down so much. Because most of my memories are kind of associated with video game music. And if that's lacking, it's like watching a movie without sound.
Yeah. I mean, when it's good, it completes the experience.
Yeah, like we mentioned with Streets of Rage 4, right? It's like if it didn't have that soundtrack, I mean, it would still be a fantastic game with fantastic mechanics, but the action is so elevated by how good that music is.
Yeah.
So there was another game that came out. Was it 1980X?
Oh yeah, 1980X, which I just bought. It was on sale. I mean, it was only sells for $9.99 normally, but I had it in my Switch wish list for so long.
Yeah.
And it was like $6.99 a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I'll finally get around to getting that.
My friend Koshiro Yuzo worked on that a bit. But
Really?
Yeah, he did a few tracks on it. And I actually saw it first via him. But that's an interesting, because that's all different mini games basically connected with a story that's kind of very much grounded and the foundation is nostalgia, just us growing up with all this and the sounds and sights, and so the music then of course is so important. And I just think of that game, and if I turned the sound off, that experience would be so weak, it would be so empty.
Yeah.
But that's a game that like proves how important that musical angle to these games are.
That's really cool, because I always thought that, I mean, 1980X is definitely like an indie game that didn't have like much of a budget as far as I know. I mean, that's really cool that Koshiro is doing music for stuff like that, like fairly often actually.
Yeah, that's become, he actually, I think that kind of brings us back in kind of full circle a bit, because I think the very first time we technically met each other in real life, we realized in later years, must have been when I brought Koshiro to MagFest many years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was his handler for that. And you guys were there. So
that was like even before we started the channel, I think.
Yeah, it was very long time ago.
When Koshiro
it was like a year before.
Koshiro was there the first year we were there. That's right. MLiG did
so
not
that would have
exist.
been like, yeah, it was like
that was the first time we had met in person.
Right. Yeah.
Oh wow, what a! If only we knew. Back then.
Right.
Because now we're very good friends, but back then, I was just handling his business and dealing with his US trip for him, because he also wanted to bring his mother, so they had to have someone they kind of knew and trusted. And I remember he was amazed at that time. This was 2012, was it, or 11? But anyways, Koshiro, when he went to the US, he didn't realize he had a fan base. He had no kind of idea of the fact that people had this much regard for his music. And he was so nervous because we were doing this DJ set. I'm not sure if you guys were there for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, which was amazing, right? And I spent the whole time with him in his hotel room, just like him nervously thinking no one's going to show up and no one really knows who he is.
It
But
was
that
like the
whole-
event of the entire thing.
You know, people went crazy and the whole room. We actually had to close the doors because of capacity.
Yep.
And it was crazy. It was
So like
that
he,
was like,
like
a real
he doesn't get
cyberpunk.
that kind of recognition in Japan.
I mean, recognition in Japan is so different because it's yes, he does, but it's not as involved as it can get with Western fans. Because of course, because it's Koshiro and they first time met him, they have a lot of questions, they have a lot of regard, they want to show how much they love his stuff, the chance they have. So it was very immediate for him. Whereas Japanese fans will be much more cordial and just kind of stay their distance and say, "Well, thank you so much for your work." So he had no kind of realization of how powerful this moment could be. And I remember after he stepped off stage for that DJ set, we went back to the green room and he was crying. He was like bawling because he had no idea that people had this connection with his music, but people were singing along on like the Wangad Midnight songs, which he was like, these never even released over here. It's like, no, but YouTube exists. So, his mother was also very nice about this.
That first MagFest we went to, where he was there, I mean, that was definitely the best one that we went to. I mean, that's when we met Jake Kaufman at that same one too.
Oh yes, good friend of mine. Jake Kaufman. First time I met him, I went to MagFest since 2004. That was the very first time I went to MagFest was 2003, I think, or 2004
that was
maybe.
Long before
10
we
years
started
before.
Oh yeah, it was in the very beginning of MagFest, and I had never been to the US before, spoken English before, for that matter. And but I love the mini bosses, and I'd already gotten a bit of a reputation at the time of being kind of well informed about Japanese video games and development and music. And I had worked with Chris Holzbeck for a little bit too, so I kind of had a bit of name, I guess. So I was invited to MagFest, and I think I was the first international attendee. I'm not sure why they wanted me there, because I couldn't really do anything. But I was there, and one of the first people I met was Jake Kaufman, and he just gave me a huge kiss. And I was like, I love you. It's like, why? It's like, not sure, but you know a lot about Japanese game music. It's like, yeah, that's true. I suppose that is a sexual component to our relationship now. And we became very good friends. So I used to room with him quite a bit at MagFest. And I mean, Jake is an incredible talent, and still is doing stuff with Mint Potion. So,
really quick,
that first MagFest, I didn't have a Sega Genesis yet, so like when Koshiro was there, you haven't said your ActRaiser, which I think is a good one. Like it's like the ugliest SNES card I have though. It's just,
but that's
it's
just well loved.
Oh, I mean, it wasn't me. I mean, it was you. It was nasty when I got it, but
yeah. I mean, I felt kind of bad that I didn't really. I think I bought the Master System version of Ys the Vanished Omens there, but I didn't the only thing that I had, because I hadn't rebought. I was just kind of getting back into games. I had spent a lot of time getting things on Virtual Console at that time, like leading up to that. So I didn't really have any games that I that had his music in it at the time. So what I did was I brought my my PSP version of Ys 1 and 2 that has the PC 88 versions of the music on it, and that's what I had him sign.
Oh,
I was like so afraid. I hope he's not like annoyed by it. It's kind of like at the time when
no.
I feel like maybe it was the next year that Chris Heelsbeck was there.
No, he
Like,
was
he
there
might
at
have
the
gone
same time.
Okay, so then I had
Yeah.
him sign. Like, I didn't really have anything.
I
didn't
forgot he
have,
was there.
I didn't have Turrican at the time, or Super Turrican, so I had him sign. I had him sign my my Rogue Squadron 2.
Oh, I'm sure that made him very happy. I mean, he, always enjoys when people bring something else than Turrican. Of course, he's very happy with Turrican, but he's always. That was one of the first conventions he did that year too in the U.S. He usually flies over to Europe to do conventions, Holzbeck, I mean, and he also was kind of surprised by just how much American fans knew of his music. So he had a very similar experience.
Did he live in the U.S. though when Factor 5 was here?
Yeah, he moved over with Factor 5 in '95 when they moved to San Francisco, Petaluma.
Because that was, I mean, it was the Rogue Squadron era that I was, initially introduced to Factor 5.
Right. Yeah, so I think now people are more aware of his past works though on Commodore and whatnot. So for us Europeans, I mean, he was the first video game superstar. So I remember I wrote Holzbeck fan letters when I was a kid. He never answered any of them, but then when we started working together, I was like, "Hey, where's my letters? Like, I sent you like 3 of them." He's like, "Oh, I never answered any of my letters."
Like, before it's been too long, I want to do these super chats that popped up
go ahead.
here. There's $2 from Demo Kirby
Thank
a
you.
while ago. I apologize for that. Saying recommend checking out future funk genre of music.
Yeah.
I will do that.
Future funk is cool.
And there's also $5 from Chris Fratz. Thank you. Saying one example I like to bring up is the Doom games composed by Mick Gordon. Feels empty without the music.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even though it's not exactly like my favorite genre of music, it certainly fits the game.
Yeah, the action is very much like his music is like a metronome to the action. So it's like, or the action is rather a metronome to his music, I should say.
Yeah.
So you kind of need both, yeah. Yeah, that was he did good work on Killer Instinct as well, Gordon.
Paul Bergkamp was saying, Corey talks about not having games turn around to a wall of games. Yeah, but I mean, this was like when I still lived in New York, and I had most of my games at that point were I had sold off a lot of stuff, and I was basically using the Virtual Console. And this is what's happened since 7 years since then.
I mean,
well, you should
luckily had
see my shelf
some
after
of your...
Digital Foundry. What happened to me is like I have a shelf full of CDI games, so you're in better spot than me.
Yep. I mean, it is a lot of like the channel. Like it's once you start making videos on games and you sort of specialize in showing it on original hardware.
Yeah, and it's
like
it's always like like you're just always seeing something that's like, oh, like that could be interesting for a video someday. Before then I was like so careful about like, oh, I don't want to add this to my backlog. And now it's just like, oh, well, I'll get to it someday.
There's $5 from Aaron Welsh saying, I'm surprised that Wrestling with Gaming isn't here tonight. He's the champion of defending the horribleness that is the CDI.
Yes, that is true.
I get probably a tweet a day now, if not more, asking me when he and I are gonna do a video together. I do not know. Yeah, we do follow each other. But I don't know him personally, but I think for 2021 this needs to happen, so I'll reach out to him and ask when will this happen.
What's that guy eating? He's like, ooh, it's a beef stick. He's eating a beef stick.
He kind of sound like
it's like the dongo stick.
Kind of sound like Wreck-It Ralph.
someone saying in the chat, I saw that they just got Mutant Rampage Body Slam, which is a brawler on the CDI. And it has actually cutscenes from the same company that made cutscenes for this game. So it's one of the better games on the CDI, actually. It's a good get. If you're going to have anything on the CDI, I guess you'll get Mutant Rampage Body Slam. Yeah, there aren't many of them. There aren't many of the gets.
Pretty serious nipples going on that green giant.
I mean, you know, I feel like if Nintendo held the rights to like the scenario of this game and just like made it with like actual like to Zelda standards.
No. It's
Like, you know, I kind of like the idea of this like island with all these like, you know, stone faces and stuff. Like, I mean, this could
you know,
be.
there's already a Zelda game on an island. It's called Link's Awakening. It came out at the same time as this game.
This is true.
It's much better.
It has the face shrine.
Yes, it does. I mean, that was a thing from Zelda, though. The tree in Zelda 1 that has like a face that you go into the dungeon and whatnot.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the place is actually called Face Shrine.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, it's this makes. I mean, God, this game makes my brain melt. When you think about these games, it makes sense, and for some people, this was very exciting. I think many people looked at these games. Yeah, I wasn't one of them in terms of my point now, but like Zelda 2. I mean, Zelda 2 is like a very different kind of Zelda experience. They never really went back to it. And then when you look at this in screenshots, especially, it looks like it could be something similar to that, right? Like a 2D side-scrolling action RPG adventure thingy. Yeah, I never liked Zelda 2, but when I saw this, I just saw the backgrounds. I mean, the backgrounds are incredible because
I mean, Zelda 2.
CDI can actually do pretty good backgrounds.
I mean, Zelda 2 was what kind of like set my image of what Hyrule was. Like, I didn't really like Zelda that much when I was a kid. Like up until like kind of the lead up to Ocarina of Time, I'm like, okay, I'm really missing out on something. And then I borrowed Link to the Past from a friend, and you know, I was like, okay, this is awesome, you know. And then but I played Zelda 1, Zelda 2 as a kid at my cousin's house, and she really liked them. Like, Zelda 2 was her favorite game, but like I just didn't understand them when I was younger. But like the texture of like that world like made a very vivid image in my head of what Hyrule was. And it's clear that the people that made this game, that made an impression on them too, but their reinterpretation of it is, well, a thing of infamy, obviously. I'm guessing this canteen heals hearts. Is this what that does? I gotta find out. Okay. So
got almost a full inventory going on here.
So do I just like pick that up when I pass it?
I guess so.
I'm borderline in the chat with saying the world's most unpopular opinion, Wand of Gamelon, is better than Ocarina of Time.
That's some
spitting
battling
the truth
words
in terms of the first part of that
yeah,
comment.
I mean,
you know, it's so popular to hate on Ocarina of Time these days, and
Really?
Is it?
Yeah,
I never know that.
it's pretty popular to hate on Ocarina these days.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the
I
remake?
see nothing but love for it all the time.
Yeah, I've
so
never
I
met anyone
feel
that
like-
hates it. Are
well-
you talking about yourself now?
No, I mean,
Are you trying to hide behind other people for your
no,
opinion?
it's pretty popular because people will just say like, oh, it's, you know, it's just it's just so generic. But you have to remember, it was the first 3D Zelda game, and I think a lot of people think that it's kind of boring. Like it's like the template that Zelda, like, other than like Majora's Mask, which was so weird, and then Wind Waker to a lesser extent. Like so many Zeldas ended up following that Link's Awakening formula, but then Ocarina took that and made it 3D. And a lot of people I think these days, a lot of people just say like, oh, it's kind of boring. It's just like the most like basic Zelda game.
You mean Link to the Past?
No,
Right, now,
Ocarina of Time. I mean, Ocarina of Time kind of followed A Link to the Past.
Yeah, that formula. Like, I mean, that formula was like the for the main entries of Zelda games. That was the formula from Link to the Past on until Breath of the Wild. I mean, I didn't.
Not a bad thing though.
But I love Ocarina of Time, but I think a lot of people think that like it's just kind of there now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I never was. I mean, I think I've talked about it before that. Like, I think that my opinion of it drops. My interest in playing it dropped significantly when I stepped into the overworld and it did not play the Zelda theme. And I was like, oh.
Man, but you're focusing on the wrong thing. Then I mean, stepping into the overworld the first time was like eye-opening for me because it's like the very first time that it felt like a real 3D world. I
had the same reaction Coury did for sure, but I got over it, and it's a really great overworld theme. But again, you have to remember, like this is only the fifth Zelda game.
Only the fifth Zelda game.
Yeah. And that not every game had that. Zelda 2 didn't have that. Link's Awakening's version of it is significantly different. And I ultimately think that it was a good direction that they took, having sort of different ones in each game. Because then you've got stuff like, like they did go back to the original theme for Majora's Mask, and Majora's Mask is one of, if not my favorite Zelda game.
That's a really good one, yeah.
But I feel like its version of the overworld is one of the weakest. And I feel like stuff like what Wind Waker did is much stronger.
You have to go to Surgan Caves. Is at the fire at the very top of the map.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I need to go to the librarian, but I can't remember where she was.
Maybe she's in the Surgan Caves.
I don't think I've been here though.
I just know at the time I was disappointed. I think that I finished it. I played all the way through it and enjoyed it, but I think that it negatively impacted my excitement and interest in the game when they happened.
I can
and
understand
also,
that, but I came
and about
to
how
appreciate
whenever you fight somebody, it's like I just hated the music that played. And that comes down to just.
But it was so dynamic though. The fun of all the audio system there. It's not the best quality sound, but it's just the dynamic system that they have implemented was like. I don't know how to even explain it. It felt almost like a fantasy Star Wars experience. It just felt so immersive and like impactful. Especially when talking about 3D games, because by the time I played Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, 3D gaming wasn't established proper. Like no one knew how to recontextualize these 2D experiences we've had in 3D. And then you get like Mario 64, which completely revolutionizes like 3D controls and
then
platforming in
Ocarina
3D.
did revolutionize another branch of it, really.
Yeah, the sense of adventure and the sense of like freedom in Ocarina was beyond anything. I'm sure someone can bring up some kind of obscure PC game that they played, and like that's kind of similar. Sure, but I didn't play it. But I mean, for us general console players, the idea of having that immersive world at our fingertips with such great controls, because I mean, it really was, in terms of controls, you can't even argue that, like, at that time, generally, in 3D gaming, it was difficult. I mean, we all played Bubsy 3D, right? I certainly did, as you would know. And yeah, just controlling Zelda Ocarina of Time felt fluid. It felt natural, and I think that was so important to that whole experience. The overall theme, though, I'm sure some people were not too happy with it. Sure, but I was looking at the sun coming up and like, oh my god, like look at this.
I mean,
It's like a real world in the cartridge.
I mean,
I mean, you know, the modern like targeting, like third-person action game targeting system, you know, all that kind of stuff was, you know, I won't say that the game necessarily was like the first to do some of that stuff, but it was definitely the one that influenced, that popularized it.
Yeah, I really liked. I'm sure there's people who didn't enjoy that either. But I just think if you
it's-
go back to that time and compare it to what the alternatives were for most other 3D gaming on either PC or the PlayStation, that like nothing played close to that.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
oh, did you
Am I?
did you find a bug?
I don't know.
Did we find like? What did you do? Try?
I went inside this place, which I assume is dark, but I keep falling to my death.
Did you
Does it
activate the
save the
lamp?
game?
I think it saves automatically as you go, I think.
Oh, it says definitely saying, "Congrats, you found the soft lock. Let the continue run out."
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Will that happen if I go in there no matter what, or?
Really quick, there was a
I should save.
there's
games.
$4.99 from Terminal Philosophy. Looks like they have is that a Rick Deckard avatar maybe? Saying looking forward to the games we played in 2020 video and an eventual updated gaming setup video. Think you guys will stream Cybernator in 2021? Thanks. Thank you.
Oh, Cybernator.
Ah, okay.
One of my well,
And yes, well, definitely will. Audie's a huge fan of the
Well,
Assault Zoo series.
the last time I was on this channel in
That's-
April of 2019, I actually did I think a no death run of Cybernator live.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I forgot that you played that after Bubsy.
So we already did that. But yes, I am a gigantic
It was not
fan.
the headliner though.
No,
It's okay to
Bubsy was
replay
the
games
headliner.
on stream if they
Yeah.
haven't been the headliner. We've decided.
I'm a huge fan. Actually, behind this shelf, I have a model of the Vulcan robot from Cybernator, like the full size. Well, not full size, but a scale model of it. Yes, I have the actual mech in my yard. I haven't used it lately, but
Yes, that's a game series that I wanted to do a video on for so long.
same. I've been trying to convince Mr. Limon to let me do it, maybe one day. But
Or we could just do it.
oh, we could just do it. Or we all just collaborate, do an animated intro. But yeah, Cybernator and Lanos, of course, on Genesis, and then you have the sequel on Saturn. Then you have the sequel on
Yeah.
PlayStation.
Which is
There's so much story behind there because Square and NCS
the Gun Hazard.
team, Gun Hazard, and there was a lot of mixing of teams. So.
I mean, I think something you're going to start seeing a lot more from us next year is just these videos where we're like, instead of like, oh, I shouldn't do this thing I want to do because like we should probably do a video on this. I think next year you're going to start to see a lot more like, I just want to do this video. I just want to do it.
We already have some ideas of videos together, so
Yeah.
Hopefully next
Yeah.
year we get to do them.
if travel is happens ever.
Yeah, now I do have filming equipment here because it just took too long, so I had to get some here because me and John have to start working remotely together.
Right.
But yes, I want travel to be gone so I can bring over these treasures.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we've probably have, like, put off in the last couple of
Several
years. And I think we're just gonna do it because we wanna do it, and that's why. I mean, we're not going to, like, if we like agree to do like another video, we're not gonna make it such a big deal.
Zelda, wake up.
What? Zelda's just here?
Saved me.
She's just hanging out.
Oh, you got fooled. You got Ganon, boy. You got Ganon.
I really was fooled. I legit was fooled.
That was a bigger plot twist than Mandalorian.
I don't want to spoil anything, although I've been spoiled on the
I'm
end
sorry.
of the second season, but in the best possible way. I mean, it just makes me want to
Ganon's
watch it
lair.
more. Honestly,
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I mean, I love the Mandalorian, so
yeah.
it's my favorite thing to come out of Star Wars since Dark Forces.
I was watching with the kids. I was watching Elf today, and which is
Elf?
another Jon Favreau movie, and I can't believe that, like, the impact that Jon Favreau has had on so many different things. And I say this saying as someone who feels that Swingers is one of his favorite movies. It's one of my favorite movies, which he wrote and acted in.
I love Chef. I think that's a pretty good movie.
Yes, very, very good. It's very clear that he just wanted to make a movie that he wanted to make.
I
It's
thought you
more
said
just-
Alf in the beginning, like the Alien sitcom.
No,
from
no,
the
Elf.
90s.
The Will Ferrell
Yeah.
movie. Where
Yes,
he's,
I got it now.
Oh. But yeah, I mean, it's totally one of the best Christmas movies. But I mean, it's just a couple months ago we watched Zathura, which is another movie that he directed, which is, it's certainly, I haven't seen any of the Jumanji sequels, but Zathura
haven't seen those
is
either.
kind of like
I watched those earlier. I actually watched Zathura as well earlier this year. I'd never seen that. And I'd
It's
only
an awesome
seen
movie.
like half of Jumanji 1 before, so I watched all those movies this year, and they were all good.
What about Pluto Nash? I think we're all pretty big fans of Pluto Nash, right?
he didn't direct that.
No.
That's the Eddie Murphy movie, right?
Yes, it is.
And Eddie Murphy
Right.
stopped making movies for like years after that.
Because of the reception, he was so disappointed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a good film.
This crystal makes the shield reflect,
Um,
cursing the cursor with twice the curse.
But yeah, I mean, it's just amazing, like, the impact that he's had on so many different things. I mean, he's made Star Wars exciting for people that have not been able to get into it since, like, the original trilogy, essentially.
Yeah, I think he has a kind of similar mindset to us in the sense that what we liked about Star Wars, is the things that he gravitates towards as well.
Yeah.
And he's what I like about especially in Star Wars generally, he's someone that can he still manages to have the element of surprise in the way he directs and does these stories, but he also kind of leans a little bit into, like, what is it that fans want to see, and let's give it to them. It's not always just like going in a different direction because it's unexpected.
Yeah.
I actually did enjoy the new Star Wars movies too. I was not too against that direction as well. But I do think The Mandalorian is the best Star Wars property to come out.
Yeah. I mean, the new movies, I don't know. I have this feel like they just give me. I just have no interest in really watching them again. After I felt the same way about the prequels though too. Like the first, I watch them like once or maybe twice. I just have no real reason to or interest in watching it.
I saw them in the theaters when they came out, and
yeah,
I mean, that was pretty much it. So,
I mean, I mean, me and my friends were like probably way more into the prequel movies than we should have been. But
well, you were the right age. It was the right age at the right time.
Yeah, and like I really
you were the target audience.
I really hadn't been into Star Wars all that long either. Like, you know, I really only like I saw bits and pieces in passing on TV, but like I wasn't like overly interested in like movies as a whole. Like like movies were just like a thing I would watch, but I wasn't like into movies, I guess, really, until like I really started watching like the Star Wars movies and I we were just talking the other day, like it was really all like the second half of the 90s was like, I was like, me and my friends were like really getting into Star Wars. We were watching all the old James Bond movies and stuff. I was telling you that just the other day I just had just some random like, I just feel like watching like some completely random like Bond movie from like the middle of the chronology. And I ended up putting in The Spy Who Loved Me, which I remembered liking a lot. I mean, it's been a long time since I remembered liking it a lot more than maybe I should have. It wasn't actually that good rewatching it for the first time in a long while, but like it really struck me like it was probably like around like 97, 98, maybe 99 that like in those 2 years that me and one of my friends were like watching all the Bond movies. Over time he was just like buying one at a time on VHS, and like I realized, wow, that movie like seemed like it was old when I saw it. It was 77. I first saw it probably 97. And now it's like more than twice as old as it was when I first saw it, and that just blew my mind.
Yeah, I feel like that, everyone. Like a lot. I think I said to you, I said if Back to the Future came out now and it took place now, he'd be going back to 1990.
Yeah.
Man, the funniest thing in The Spy Who Loved Me was there's this scene sort of, I guess, toward the end
Or in the bathroom.
where there's like the villain's like main commander or whatever, and there's just this scene. It just cuts to this scene in the control room, and he just goes, "Is everything proceeding according to plan?" And then, the grunt at the computer says, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Excellent." Then it cuts away to another scene. That was the entire scene. Like, it was just like the most like stereotypically like cartoonish movie dialogue you could possibly imagine.
Do you are you into movies generally, or do you just casually watch movies?
I mean, video games are a passion of an order of magnitude more than movies for me, but like, I definitely consider movies something of a passion, but I'm definitely not as, totally, I don't know if it would be, it wouldn't be proper to call myself like a movie buff or nothing. Like I couldn't do like a movie podcast, but I definitely enjoy movies a lot.
Yeah, for me, I mean, movies are kind of equal to my love of video games in many ways. This depends on, I'm really into martial arts cinema, as you know, but like that, and I do love me bad movies as well. I have as many bad games as I have. I probably have as many bad movies.
There's nothing wrong with loving watching some bad movies.
No, just as long as they're the right type of bad. There's nothing worse than a bad movie. But yeah, I really love watching movies when video games. You know, I work with video games every day, and I work, you know, producing video games in daytime. And at night, I just love watching movies instead. I don't know what it is, but I can't play too many games, especially new ones. I can't really play them and get that relaxation I used to get, which is a shame. I mean,
See,
really...
for me, I tend to kind of, I mean, sometimes obviously in the evening, I definitely will often play classic games for my enjoyment, but like a lot of times when I'm making my progress, like in playing through any given classic game is like on streams, like now on streams on Monday nights on the Backloggery, because oftentimes I do like play modern games on my own time, because you know, it's because I spend so much time with classic games for, you know, the channel. So it's like, you know, I don't know, like for me, that's kind of like my relaxation, even though I'm like so behind on modern games and like don't necessarily like, you know, some of the broader directions of modern games, but the ones that I do like, you know, that's kind of what I spend a lot of time on. Probably should have paid attention to what this wolf said. Probably had something to do with how
bring up the
yeah, I should bring up the
bring up the hints maybe.
From a distance, he will be his own. Oh yeah, that's right. I've got the reflective shield now.
We have Coury back.
I do want to say,
yes,
thinking about this, you talk about Spy Who Loved Me. You know, that movie is only 1 year older than I am.
Oh,
really old.
I'm gonna be. My birthday is on Saturday. I'm gonna be 42.
That's right. You and John, you're close.
Oh right. When? Oh, that's right. His is like the 27th. His is the day after mine, I think. Right.
27th. You're both Christmas babies.
Yep. 42. So next week's stream, I will be a whole other age.
We really should do a Christmas stream of some kind. All of us, John, us.
I mean, it'd be cool, but that's like, I mean, after the kids are like passed out and everything, maybe. But I mean,
I don't mean on actual Christmas Eve. I mean like one day, just play Christmas games.
Yeah. Oh,
No, I'm not celebrating Christmas with you. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's kind of sad. Like, we're not gonna, like, John, when he usually comes back for Christmas, and can't come this year. And we usually do like an in-person live stream. It's not gonna be like a typical comparison stream that we.
Oh, that's right. Last year was Turok, right?
Yep, it's Turok, and the year before that, I think it was Sonic Adventure.
Have I done everything? I feel like there was like a librarian somewhere that like I needed to give a book to, and I don't think I gave it to her, but maybe I did. Oh wow!
Got a $25 donation from Jonathan Hinson. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. He says, "Merry Christmas, gentlemen. MLiG and DF Retro. Thank you for everything that you do and for making this terrible year just a little bit better."
Well, we've been quite consistent, haven't we? Have we missed a stream this year? Probably not. Where would we have been?
We didn't go anywhere. I think I was like not feeling well.
Stream, but
I think it might have been August. Maybe
was there a totally missing stream?
Yes, that was the only one.
Someone is mentioning Christmas Crisis on the CDI. which is when we're talking about Christmas games, that's probably one of the worst ones if you want to hate Christmas. But last year, when I was at John's place in December, we actually played that. We did the Christmas episode where he made me play Christmas Crisis, Christmas Country, which is another CDI Christmas-related platformer, and Santa Claus Saves the Earth on PlayStation. So if you want to go look at that, you can go on the Digital Foundry page and search for Christmas Nightmare. I think that was what we called the episode.
Christmas Nightmare.
Emmett Riley is wondering how old Try is.
I am 36.
Good year.
Now you
6.
must die.
Try doesn't age. Well,
No. You have kind of looked the same for quite some time now,
I mean,
haven't you?
yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that my hair is not as thick as it used to be.
Oh.
You know,
I mean,
I've actually noticed.
You can't all be as lucky as me and Coury.
I've actually noticed lately, like only like in the past like month or two, I've noticed like when I get really scruffy, you know, it's been, you know, a week and a half, 2 weeks since I shaved, which is, you know, pretty common for me to be lazy and wait that long.
I think the first
like
time I
right
visited you-
here, there's definitely a little white patch right here in my beard.
First time I visited you, because I actually been to your place, and that time I think you had a bit of a beard, didn't you?
I mean, I never have. I mean, a beard to me implies intention.
I mean, you weren't like Dan Haggerty, but I mean, you had a slight like stubble.
I mean, generally speaking, it's rare for me to shave more than once a week, and usually it's probably pushing 2 weeks when I shave.
This is the kind of conversation I think the fans really do want. The frequency of our shaves.
the like right on my chest right here, it's been interesting. I think it's half like a lot of it has to do with like having my kids home all the time. Like it has gone from like just being like normal to being like a big patch of like gray, like right here.
What?
Like I think
I-
it's specifically because of.
I honestly thought this conversation right now was gonna head into the territory of you like saying like, "Oh, my chest hair, I shaved it to be like a Triforce."
Yeah,
That's Coury's new hobby. Is just like chest hair shapes. Like one.
That's all right now.
March was Triforce. April was a heart.
There was a 1999 donation from Terminal Philosophy. Thank you again. Saying thoughts on the original Mass Effect, aka the best Mass Effect. It's sad to see the Framemeister slowly getting. It's sad to see the Framemeister slowly getting phased. I'm a huge fan of the RGB Masterclass and your 1080p setups. Thanks. Thank you. Thoughts on the original Mass Effect?
I really liked it. I mean, it was the first one that I played.
Join me, Link.
And
Face the greatest in Corridor.
I always heard people say that it was not, like Mass Effect 2 was when like people started like really loving it. And I was like under the impression that Mass Effect 1 was like definitely considered not as good. And I was like, oh, this is really good. It definitely, I think, has more RPG-ishness going on. Like starting with 2, I think they focus a little more on the action elements. But
I think you have to throw something at him. By the way,
is it the book?
No,
Oh, it
Try
was
throwing
the
the book
book.
at him.
into the pit and burn.
So I
Throw a
mean,
book
you
at him.
finished the game. I don't know.
I can't
how-
believe
I
it.
don't know how and like.
That's how you beat them. You just throw the book at them.
Yeah, it's usually how we beat the bad people. We just educate them.
Mass Effect 1. I mean, I don't remember a ton about it. I think that it has the best soundtrack of all of them, except for the suicide mission music at the end of part 2. And I'm glad that they brought a lot of the soundtrack motifs back for the third one. You just speed run the game. Well,
Look how cute that wizard is. I mean,
how come he doesn't pop up in any
just
other
a
games?
face. No, that's true. It's a face you just have to love.
I am looking forward to replaying it though. Once it's once the remaster comes out.
Do you
There
think
it
it will
is,
be better than
developed by
this
Dopply.
remaster?
Well, we got some original staff credits. Well, thank you to Dopply for making this this wonderful project. I don't know if I would have, played through this otherwise. I mean, I think the only first party Nintendo Zelda game I've never played is Tetris Trackers.
Oh yeah.
Unless you count Game and Watch or the actual wristwatch LCD Zelda games and stuff like that.
But now we can add the CDI Link game to your list.
But none of these are actually titled The Legend of Zelda, are they?
No.
No.
So, see, I used that excuse for a while because when I didn't have Link's crossbow training, I was like, well, it's not
You
the
don't
legend.
need an excuse not to play these games. You know that, right?
Oh no, I have to justify this horrible shortcoming of my Zelda fandomness, not having played or owning these games. I mean, I absolutely, 10 years ago, before they were expensive, I definitely intended to get around to getting these games in a CDI, and I did not. And perhaps it's better that I waited until 2020 and good old Dopply here gave us a shockingly pain-free way to experience.
Curious to see what the bonus is for beating the game in hero mode.
Let me go get the game cases for these games because I actually have them here.
Does something actually happen in the original game if you beat it in hero mode, or is this new to is this a Dopply original feature?
I feel like it's probably an original feature. You have the other one, right? You're gonna try the other one.
I do. We're gonna go for it.
Yeah, let's see. This is I guess it's a bit blurry, but this is the
if you hold it up much closer,
that's kind of maybe blur out.
There's that link.
So yeah. But yeah, it does not have the Legend of Zelda moniker on it.
Yep.
It says a new interactive animated adventure though.
I mean, this title screen music is kind of great.
Well, generally the music in the game is good. We didn't hear much of it, obviously, during the streaming, but I think the soundtrack is actually quite excellent in its own right. I mean, for a Zelda game, maybe people would say it doesn't really fit.
It's different, for sure.
But I think it definitely is pretty cool music.
It's catchy. So, we finished that.
Are we loading up the other one?
And we are. I keep going to the wrong keyboard because I'm playing this on a different computer that I'm streaming it on. So I keep going to the wrong keyboard. I always like to show, when I can, my beautiful wallpaper on my crappy computer here.
Russian attack.
Is I absolutely love this this artwork this poster for Arcade Russian Attack, and it's for some reason that's been my wallpaper on this computer for like a year or two.
It should always be. It should always be your wallpaper. We should recreate this.
Imagine being that excited about Russian Attack.
If we ever, if
who is
Mom
who plays the mom that is like so excited that her boys are stabbing the Russians?
you,
Oh, okay.
it has to be you, because you're the only one who can get that smile. Yeah. Then me and Coury can be in the forefront.
I don't think I've ever been excited about anything in my entire life. Like that was the thing. That was the thing that.
As you can tell when I'm jumping between these, I've got a little MLiG special aspect ratio correction going on with how I've sized it up to fit the CRT frame. So it might be a little more true to there is a mode in here that has like the 4:3 sizing, but I do believe it has the shimmer.
Oh.
All right, Wand of Gamelon time. Let's get. Is this the So Hungry I Could Eat an Octorok? I think this is the Octorok one. Faces of Evil was I'm so bored. My boy,
Yes,
this piece is what all warriors should strive for.
He's available.
Huh?
I see the Matthew Down is asking, where can I download these?
I mean, I don't know if that's like information one talks about online or not, or if no one cares because these are unlicensed CDI games that even Nintendo doesn't want to acknowledge.
Yeah, it's been a while since they acknowledged these games, or ever. But I don't know if Dopley is still around.
I'll leave it to Dopley to answer if that is something that is answerable.
They were only available for a certain amount of time. Yeah. So I'm sure you can find them by just Googling. But
so we're going to turn remastered mode on. I mean, this music on this title screen is not bad, but I definitely think Faces of Evil beats on the title screen music. All right, let's see what this is about. What's this?
Oh, this one has subtitles?
The other one does too, but
But Father, what if something happens to you?
I'll take the Triforce of Courage to protect me. If you don't hear from me in a month.
Oh, I see that Emmett Riley is talking about Mortal Kombat. The Mortal Kombat movie for a second there. And I just realized that Insert Coin documentary is on. It's available like on Amazon, on Prime, and everything. I've been dying to see it.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's such
1
a
month
cool
later.
era. I feel like it's going to be a situation where there's just so much to cover that you're going to wish that it was multiple movies or like a mini series or something.
It's always, I mean, we've all made documentaries, and it's hard to make, that choice what to include and what to cut.
Yeah. But I mean, when you have all of Midway's games from that time, it seems like a single one of them could be its own documentary.
But the other one has subtitles. I turned them off when I took the photo for the thumbnail that was on the stream thumbnail, and I just left them off because I didn't realize that characters I talked to in the game were not going to be subtitled, which sure would have been nice because I could have been paying a lot more attention to what they actually said while we've been talking.
Well, now we just have to play it again.
But now they're on. But I didn't realize that I could access the system menu from the map screen until later, and by then I forgot. I thought the subtitles was the same I set outside the game, but now I remember it's in the menu, so I could have turned them back on. I just forgot.
I almost bought the new Mortal Kombat, the PS5 version, because the PS5 version just came out.
Mm-hmm.
and I was at Target today. And it's already that's like $30 off already, and that
Wow,
includes
okay.
like all the DLC.
Yeah, it's the Ultimate Edition, no?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Is that 11?
I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
and it has like Rambo and everybody in it now.
Rambo, RoboCop,
The Terminator.
Terminator. Yeah.
So I mean, I was very tempted to buy it because I've been wanting to buy it for a long time, and I almost bought the like one version that was I think it was just like the Aftermath version that came out, and then they came out with that second character pack, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just get this eventually when it's.
That's always what I
complete.
do with these games too. With this one and Injustice, I just
Right.
wait until these. Is anyone looking forward to Cotton Reboot?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I localized that game and produced it.
You may have designed the goodies they're included with the.
I also did this. Yes, I designed the collector's edition. So I better look forward to it. It's actually quite good. The team at Success and Beep
Yeah.
did really well. So
It's really cool. It's really also interesting that how Beep has become involved more on like bringing some of these.
Is
certain
it
games
the
back.
same Beep as the Beep store?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Because I mean, they have I mean, they're very well known for just like having that big like the warehouse and everything. We're just like
Right. But like is the
Like-
owner of like the Beep store like also the owner of the
Yeah, he's
Beep
like a big
company
collector,
or
right?
is it someone else
Yeah.
over him?
Maruyama-san runs Beep, and it was basically an idea that was started a few years ago. Is that they want to get into gaming, and we've talked about this a few years ago, and then now it was just time. Like they've been involved with a few Cotton projects already related to the music and some doujin, and then now Success was just kind of ready to pick it up again, and Beep want to. That was the game that made most sense for Beep to start their producing with.
Yeah, well, because I mean,
that's,
their
a
store is so
mad
heavily
legend.
focused on like that kind of like Japanese PC hardware sort of scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's an X68 game, technically an arcade, or arcade X68. And then, yeah, this new one is a remake or reimagining in a way of the original. So you can play the original X68 version, or you can play the HD reboot mode. So, and I finished the retranslation a few days ago, actually. So should
that's so
come soon.
cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad that it's getting released on other systems too, because I know they did the re-release of the X68000 version, right?
Yes, they actually did re-release that, which yeah, we couldn't for the English version or for the Western release. We couldn't really do an X68 release. There's no one. I mean, I have one that's broken, and I think this is the case for most X68s right now. They're very fragile. But what I did was just kind of reappropriate those cases, and I made the X68 collector's edition. So
I see that Snowichi 1 in the chat saying is 1 and 2 being re-released for the X68000, and that's like Yuzo Koshiro like tweeted about how he was like doing the soundtrack for it, like doing the soundtrack for it, like a few weeks ago.
yeah, he is arranging. Yeah.
That's so
Is
cool.
Is Beep like the same Beep that was like an old magazine too? Is that related, or is that?
So they had, yeah. So Beep goes back to the olden days, basically. I don't know if this was during like Maruyama's time, but nowadays it's mostly known for the Akihabara store.
Right.
But they have other businesses as well.
I remember
this
they
is
had
their
like
first game.
they had like art hung up, like custom art hung by from a bunch of different artists. Like I think Ken Sugimori, who does like Pokemon, was like had
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they had like a drawing from him there that was, you know, I love Beep or whatever.
You mean the white placards, right? The shikishi. So basically,
I just remember there
it's
was something. I
usually
don't remember what it
stencil
looked
on
like.
a square white. It's called shikishi, and yeah, usually you leave that behind if you worked on video games or anything like that. There
cool.
is a
I just throw this shroud. Like I've just got infinite of them. It scares Gibdo apparently.
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky to be allowed to shoot some B-roll there when we were shooting.
Oh, they're
stuff
really
around, too.
nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The Beep guy, I love all of them.
It was so funny though. They got the PC Engine LT out of the case so that we could shoot a photo of it, and Jimmy, who was there, you know, kind of helping us like navigate conversations, like was like, I was like, oh, do you want like a picture of like, he actually took like the little price, like this little standee out of the case that had like the price on it, which was, you know, astronomical. And he's like, oh, do you want like a shot like with the price like in the shot? And I'm just like, oh yeah, sure. And I'm thinking in my head like, I really don't need this shot. And so I'm like getting all these different like shots and angles of it, and they had Magical Chase running on the screen, and you know, I'm getting all these angles of it. And then, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm done. And he's like, oh, did you get a shot with the thing? I'm like, oh, you know, I forgot to do that. Let me do that right now. I was just like, I do not care about this shot, but for some reason he really wanted me to get that shot. We've used that shot, one of those shots in something we've done. Like we just wanted to.
Really, like we shot a whole bunch of B-roll of this thing because we said this might be the only chance we ever have to do this.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean,
not
you're
only
lucky as well. I mean, that's it's not something they offer anyone. I can tell you that. I mean, it's a small space, and just generally to shoot inside stores. Businesses.
Takayuki Komabayashi, who, you know, he was
it's
working
like
at M2. Like he was like I think he was like mostly like kind of a coordinator and
but he worked for B like for a long time. He was,
and then he went to M2, and but then he like he went from being like a coordinator and like social media guy at M2 to now he was like the director of the Genesis Mini.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
But he he was like our main person there, but he worked for Beep years ago. He worked like in the warehouse thing, and I recognize him because he is in the in the bonus or in the material for the Untold History of Japanese Game Developer books.
Yes.
And that's where I recognize them from.
Yep.
Which are good books from my good friend John.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I helped him
write
do
for the same
like
place.
the re-release of the DVD material last year.
Yeah.
Like and we put together a Blu-ray on it. Really quick, there was $4.99 from MNW615. Thank you. Saying, would the NT Mini Noir look better in 720 on a 1440p monitor or in 1080 on a 1080p monitor? Would 1440p introduce interpolation? Thanks, love the channel. Well, I mean, the system has interpolation built in no matter what. So
you don't need to worry about that. But I mean, it was interesting because we were assuming it was going to be another case where it's like, oh, you know, if you want to use Scanline 720p might look better. But then you really got into playing around with the scan lines, and you're like, I think I can get this looking
are really good now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we're just thinking. I mean, we had this idea. I think that previously, like, like you think like Framemeister and like early stuff like 1080p scan lines are just like way too thin to like really look like they have any substance to them. And like there's just so many options now that you can really dial it in and make it look really, really good at 1080p now. I don't think there's any real reason to play at 720p with scanline at this point.
Yeah, someone mentioned also in the chat, Dockley mentioned that John, the writer of those Untold Japanese developers, he did an interview with the creator of the Zelda CDI games many years ago.
Oh.
And yeah, I remember that because I was on staff at the time at HD 101 with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the kind of excitement about that. And John likes these games a lot. Should be said. He's a pretty big defender of the Zelda CDI games. So he was very happy about getting those interviews done. And unfortunately, Dale passed away. So that's pretty valuable today that he did those interviews. And this
absolutely.
That was kind of when I entered the industry. I mean, there's many stories there, but one of the reasons why I entered it the way I did was I entered it journalistically because I wanted to do interviews with these Japanese game composers that worked on the PC-98 and whatnot. And the kind of mortifying reason for all this was that they were starting to leave us for various reasons.
Yeah.
And many of my best friends in that industry has left us since. So it's unfortunate. And it really just tells you how important it is to kind of preserve all this legacy, whether or not it's the music or it's the game or the creators. So
yeah, absolutely.
This was my main reason also for just kind of getting into preservation in general. Just I want to tell these stories because these stories are important and they're heartfelt. And it's very sad that these creators are leaving us at such young ages.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, just I mean, like one of the reasons I wanted to do like a magazine documentary that still has not come out is as like some people that like wrote for game magazines have died as well. It's like that, like those stories and stuff should be, we should preserve them while we still can.
Yeah, this is it's one of the reasons why, because I think I've told this publicly a few times on Twitter and such, but I mean, I basically gave up a few years ago on my career. I was very tired and kind of burnt out and depressed and kind of lost faith, and many reasons for this. But one of the reasons I kind of decided to come back was when John knew who I was from past works, and we met. And I think he kind of saw that there's still stories for me to tell and stories for me to, bring to life. And so why don't I do these videos? Of course, now I'm doing CDI videos. I'm not sure how good of an idea it was. But this was one of the reasons for me to actually kind of get back on my feet again, was that, he reminded me of kind of like, this work is important and you were there for all this. And I didn't even realize myself that fact when he started talking to me about it, because I had really just like, no, there's nothing for me. There's people doing this better than I ever did. But then when he kind of like, when he started getting to know me, he kind of discovered I Forrest Gump myself into the industry, because like suddenly he was looking at pictures and like in Japan from the mid 2000s or anything. He's like, why are you in these pictures? What were you doing there?
You had to show me a picture on your phone to make me believe that you wrestled Nobuo Uematsu.
Yes, okay. So the story behind this is that I was working with Nobuo Uematsu, the composer of Final Fantasy, and he's a huge wrestling fan, and so was I. And we got very drunk one night, and he was like, oh, if we wrestled a match, I'd beat you. And I was like, old man, you shut up. You can't beat anything. You're brittle. You have nothing on me. And he's like, oh, that's a challenge. And he like took his shirt off. And he's like, come on. And I was like, all right, we'll do it.
You have proof. This is real.
I do have proof, yes. I generally tell the truth and only the truth. And yeah, so he locked me in the move, and I reversed it, and because we both somehow we both went to I used to do Greco-Roman like in high school, and he went to pro wrestling school in his teenager years because he wanted to become a pro wrestler. So I mean, it turned into a real match in this really fancy London hotel, and we were the only ones, and some other composers were there too. But I just remember that the Square Enix Japan staff came in and just saw us rolling on the floor, and they were like, "Oh my, like stop! Don't, you can't attack, you can't figure four leg lock Nubu Uematsu, like get up!" And they were like separating us, and they thought it was a real fight. And Uematsu was like, "Oh, don't worry, he could never beat me." Next time, old man, next Sunday, at the Superdome, I'll take you down. And yeah, that has never, unfortunately, that rematch has not happened. But challenge still stands, old man. I'll make our next match your Final Fantasy. So, yeah.
Right, people are saying you need 10 bombs. Just throw that out there.
Oh.
Really quick, I can't possibly like follow up on that, but there's a $4.99 donation from Glendon. Thank you. Saying, can't wait to see the Mr. episode. I have no idea where to start for hardware or setting up the software. Seems a little intimidating. That's kind of the main thing that I want to do in that video, is kind of have it be a primer overview and things that you can expect from it.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky to have gotten mine like fully assembled, because like the whole thing seems horrifying to me.
It is beyond easy, I think. I think that it is a lot easier to handle than like anything like Raspberry Pi related or anything like that. I think it's, I mean, you just gotta not be afraid to like putting it together. You know, it's just like someone was saying, it's kind of like Lego block.
Do I need the 10 bombs for this, or is this a power gauntlet thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
This level.
But it's generally pretty easy to do, you know. And then you just go to like the GitHub and you download the installer, and it basically builds the entire core for you. Then all you need to do is just like download the update all script and like run that. And you can run that every few days, and it will update everything for you. I mean, it'll even like download like the different like BIOS and stuff like that you need. What's that?
I was gonna say, some people are saying they want a CDI core for the Mister. Unfortunately, the documentation on CDI is awful. Like, there's very little documentation on it, and the digital video cartridge even less so. So apparently, it's I actually talked to someone that's doing the MAME emulation for the CDI, and you know, pretty knowledgeable, but it's just kind of like, it's so difficult to make any heads or tails on how this stuff works. So I don't think you'll see a CDI core for the Mister, is what I'm saying.
But I mean, you know, you never know. People might.
I think we can. I don't think there's enough game. There's not enough games that are worth playing on it. And I have over 100 CDI games, so.
But I'm sure that people will probably be. I mean, there's somebody out there that would.
I mean, for preservation's case, yes. I mean, it should be preserved, and especially, you know, these games, not many have played them. And in the case of like this, here we have a remastered version of Zelda, and I would say that this is important that people play regardless of how bad it is. It's just part of a long historic franchise, so you want to be able to play every version of this. But I'm not sure who wants to play CDI Shoot or Lucky Luke. Or Lucky Luke is actually one of the better games on the system, though.
But that's been ported around though a bit. Isn't there even like a PS1 version
of Lucky Luke?
Yeah.
No, it's not the same game. So the Lucky Luke
okay.
on CDI is by Vision Factory, which was a Dutch developer.
Mm-hmm.
And they were probably the best developer that CDI saw, in all things considered. They did The Apprentice, which is the best game on CDI, which has also been remastered for PC. and they did Lucky Luke, and it's like a side-scrolling shooter game with pretty impressive sprites and graphics. It's just that it runs like molasses because
How
of
about that?
it's a CDI.
Thanks, you saved me. That's the
I mean,
last time
I
I'm going
remember you
fishing.
talking about it. I always thought like I was like, oh, there's a PS1 version, but I guess
Yeah,
Guess
so there's
not.
a PS1 Lucky Luke game, but it's not the same. The Lucky Luke on
Is-
CDI is exclusive.
is it? Do you think is it better than any other versions of the game? The CDI
Lucky
version.
Luke CDI? No. It's not better, but for the CDI, it's fairly competent for the
Mhm.
CDI. Disclaimer, asterisk.
Mhm.
But the music is pretty neat in that game. The color has the Dutch gradient, as I call it. It's this wonderful, like, watercolored gradient. Kind of similar to this, but even more smooth. And Vision Factory was a very strange developer to me. I think the interesting thing about them is that I think some of them went on to make what's the developer of Horizon?
Oh,
Oh.
Gorilla.
Gorilla.
Gorilla. Yeah, some of those guys are actually there now,
Huh.
and some of the other people at Gorilla also started their careers on the CDI with the last ride, which is a FMV shooter.
Well, that's probably why they're such technical wizards, because they
Because
they cut their teeth on like the most miserable hardware imaginable.
It probably is the most miserable hardware for video gaming. Actually, you're actually quite right about that, because as I mentioned, there is no support. There's no hardware support for anything you would want to do in a video game. So the one thing that CDI has, though, that really was much better than most other consoles for a long time is the clarity of the video. The video quality, especially when you have a digital video cartridge, is insane for the time. It's so clear and it's so beautiful on a CRT. If you play like Thunder in Paradise, which of course you should be playing, I mean, the video quality on that is just astounding.
It's all
And
Mayor Cavendish has been chained in the
I don't
tower.
know what else.
Cakes.
I always
Come
feel
see
like
me
the
in Staccato.
one thing that the CDI probably could have done okay and then had kind of good versions of is adventure games like Monkey Island and whatnot, because they had the IR wand, which you could do, pretty good cursor with. And I always felt like if they just had that and had like Monkey Island with the CD audio on it, you'd have a pretty good version of that game,
Yeah.
which would be, probably the best way to control it outside of a mouse. And but they never got those games.
They really just needed to have made games that were better suited for it.
Yeah, but then you're pigeonholing yourself so much, though, if you only can do point-and-click adventure games. And the
Right,
worst
but I mean that is a market. Like if you could do that really, really well, I mean you aren't going to be able to do platformers really, really well.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I
so
totally-
why instead of be like, well, let's try to have platforms that aren't as good as the competition. What's something that we could do better than they could? I mean,
Yeah,
point and
and
click
at the time, that
adventures
would've
is a
been-
genre that did not work all that well on most other consoles compared to PCs, and it was a big deal. So I mean, that could at least give them something.
Yeah. No, I mean, had they leaned into that, I don't think history would have been too much different, but we would have at least been sitting here and said, well, at least the CDI had the definitive version of Monkey Island at the time, or
Yes.
something like this, which we cannot say. So I don't think the CDI has a definitive version of any game. Maybe Dark Castle.
I don't know if the bombs hurt him or not.
He hurts you, at least. We can prove that.
Like one hit, boom.
Can I? Am I
The
even
cutscenes in
hurting
this,
him?
I mean, the characters move in the cutscenes. They like move.
So much.
They move
You know,
more than I do.
people
when I
talk
do my
about us
on-camera
like
segments in episodes.
people talk about us like bobbing our head too much when we talk.
I was gonna say
in
that's
videos,
exactly.
like, well, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, like, yeah, sure we do, but we're like, I mean, maybe you should try playing the CDI Zelda game.
Yeah, there's all these like they're all like twisting and turning and writhing, and the cameras are doing these
try
like
playing the CDI.
crazy zooms into their faces.
Yeah. Someone's like, Corey, if you could just stop moving your head so much. And I'm like, well, looks like someone hasn't played the CDI Zelda game. Like, that's going to be my comeback now. Right? Anytime anybody says that about me. You move so much, Mom.
Someone's asking.
I learned it from playing from the CDI Zelda games.
I'm guessing
I
I
learned
can't
most
beat
of.
this guy.
To be fair, I've learned most of the things in my life from the CDI Zelda games. Someone was asking about. There's a controller for the CDI. There's many. I mean, the CDI has to be the most widespread in terms of models and controllers. There's just so many models of it, and then on top of it, there's so many controllers, and almost none of them are good. Almost none of them are responsive.
That's a feat, really.
It really is. I mean, it's like my game collection. I always tell people, because people look at it and it's like, why did you buy any of these games? It's like, I want to have the worst collection I want to have the most expensive game collection that no one would ever want. Because that's, everyone else goes for like treasure games or Snatcher or whatever. But I just want the most expensive bad games that no one else would want. Because then I have it. So, but yeah, for the controllers on CDI, there is, of course, the Genesis style 3-button controller with the D-pad, which is the best. And then the one that was default is the mushy wand, which is a one-handed controller, which is awful. You can't play anything with it really other than point and click, like Warrior. And then you have different joysticks, and there's just so many compatible. There was also a CDI mouse.
The Arpagos will die for them.
There's a how's it going pair sticker from John Perry G. Thank you.
Old
For
JPEG.
$5. Yeah, JPG. How's it going? It's going all right. That pair is just kind of a little bit of a gut on him going. It's jiggling when he moves, waving. We also got $1.99 from our good friend Gaming Blows. Asking, we doing Zelda's Adventure tonight? Please. Is Zelda's Adventure the third one?
Yeah, so
but it's from a different company.
Yeah,
you'll have to ask Dopley to get on that.
I think he said he wouldn't do it because there's nothing worth remaking in it, which I totally agree with. Yeah, that was made by a different company called Viridis, and it's a top-down adventure game, and it's, first of all, it loads between every screen, which you can imagine is very fun, and no music really, just like atmosphere, which, I mean, kind of simulates going out in on a real adventure, I suppose, and just horrifically difficult. I've tried 3-4 times to actually play through it, just kind of like say I've played it before no one's, but I can't get into it. After like 10 to 15 minutes, I'm just so tired of all these loading screens, and the difficulty and the voice acting is worse than mine and the Final Fight video. So
well, if anyone ever does do that, I will stream it.
Oh yeah, if anyone does remake Zelda's Adventure, we'll all stream it. That's a promise.
Dopley is saying you need to go to the back alley of Staccato. It's in that crazy lady's window. Very cryptic. I know.
Oh. I knew that there was more to this town, but I couldn't figure it out.
Electronic is saying, Dopley, I'm suddenly realizing that you likely know every weird quirk in this game.
Yeah, because you remade it.
Yeah.
Which is great, because I don't remember any of this. So.
I assume it's this lady?
Oh,
you have to get on the ledge.
Dopley has played this game probably more than anybody in the world ever. I'm guessing.
he will always be remembered for this too. Like, if the Wikipedia entry for this game has not been edited yet, I mean, someone needs to add the fact that he remade these and preserve them for all eternity. Because now, you know, we can. I think you can even run these in widescreen and whatnot, right? You can
depending on like if the content is available in the scene,
right?
But I decided to not do that. I just thought it would be easier to frame it up for the stream if I stuck with 4.3.
I guess the Zelda's Adventure game would probably be the one that needs a remake the most, just because of those loading times. So, and also the menu. Oh man, the menu navigation in that game is even worse than in this originally. It's just, yeah, there's nothing redeeming about Zelda's Adventure.
I mean, you know, if we ever made a best way to play the Zelda series games, you know,
this would be the only mention that these really get.
I mean, the craftsmanship on this is great. I mean, the work that Doppler did, regardless of the original game's quality, I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, this recreates that experience and makes it even better. It runs at 60 frames per second. It's a dream come true for someone out there.
I got a new job.
There's $4.99 from our good friend Sean Quinn saying the CDI has never had the definitive version of anything. Zelda's Adventure begs to differ.
That's right. It does have the definitive version of Zelda's Adventure.
You know, speaking of Sean Quinn, you know, I wasn't even thinking of what I would be doing this evening when I did this morning, but Sean Quinn sent some 8-bit Zelda socks our way in a little bit of a Christmas package, and I put them on this morning, and here I am playing a game to truly do 8-bit Zelda honor.
I am pretty impressed by your flexibility there. That almost went into PG-13 territory.
There's also $4.99 from our good friend Scott Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Saying thanks for the NT Noir video. I managed to score one, and I'm bouncing between your settings and the new Firebrand X settings. Have a chill holiday. Or have chill holidays.
Well,
Thank you.
Firebrand was like sending us a
He was, like,
ton
helping
of
us a
settings
lot, yeah.
all along. Like as he was dialing them in, he was seeing his settings, but then he kept saying like, oops, wait, no, this should be this should be that. I just discovered this about this, so this should be actually this. So whatever is the latest settings Firebrand is preaching, go for those. Although I would like to say I figured out the 1079 vertical before he did.
I mean, I'm hoping that there's a firmware update very soon that's gonna just like have everything like in place where it should be.
Yeah, just take Firebrand settings, boom, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be.
I mean,
that is
nice. The hope. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm sure, like everything, like at some point, you know, you just got to say like we just got to do it because there's going to be no like, but the firmware updates are going to come out and some of the information is no longer going to be relevant. So I think we decided recently that we just got to just be okay with aspects of our videos being dated. You know, we try to, like, I mean, try to make them as, like, as useful, I guess, all the time, even if things change. But, I mean, there's just certain aspects where we just got to say, like, listen, there's nothing we can do about it.
Some things are going to change.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's
I'm excited for all the content in 2021. I think 2021 is going to be a pretty good year.
Yeah.
In the end, I think we're going to make up for 2020.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were making big promises in our 2019 video, but you know, who could live up to promises in 2020? You know.
Yeah. I mean, ironically for me, 2020 turned into a good year because I produced more than I ever have in one single year, probably. Just via my job and my personal projects. I'm almost done with my next book, and I did these big videos with you guys, or John and me, and you guys joined. And so it's been good in many ways, but it has been very sad that I couldn't travel over and see you guys, and then not like go to E3 and see friends there. And it's been a strange year, but I'm happy for all the things that also I could do with this extra time we all got.
That animation, that little doot that Zelda did on the flute when she gave it to her, kind of reminded me of Joe on the Simpsons game sack saying, "I really like it when my lips do this." Ooh,
yes. That was pretty funny. That's another
you know what? Did you guys watch the new game stack today?
Yes, I saw.
No, I haven't seen today's.
Oh my god, I was laughing like for half the day over the first game that he shows. This game called Gun Gauge.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was. I mean, it looks really cool.
It's good.
But I could not stop laughing, and every time it comes up, I can't stop laughing. The main character's name is Wakel Skade.
Wakel Skade, that's right.
Wakel.
He said he was going to pay $10 to anyone who names their child Wakel, but they have to show him the birth certificate, which working on it.
Wakel Skade.
Well,
Wakel Skade.
all I know
when you're truly out of ideas for names, you call your main character Wakel Skade.
I mean, I couldn't stop laughing for a good while when I was editing your segment of the last segment, the compatibility segment, and you're talking about the Copy Nest Mini, and you're talking about you have to choose these settings to get a good dump.
I should have said to get the dump.
Lady Alma. I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah, well, I mean, people love it when we talk about getting good dumps in our videos.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than a good dump, though. When you when you get that best dump from those games, it's just magical.
You know that it's gonna last for a while,
and you want to share that dump with everyone. So
yeah,
you just you can't wait to go online and share it. Here is the dump I made. That is one thing I want to do in 2021 too, is do something with Joe. I would love to help out with something on GameSack, because I love GameSack.
Yeah, same here. But the Wakel Skades thing is so funny. I don't know why I was laughing. I was laughing about it all day.
Wakel Skade.
My favorite thing in the NT Mini Noir, I was saying this, and it's something you might notice if you are paying close attention. We love to do edits in there where it makes it look like if we use a shot of a character's mouth moving, it's
they're
timed out in a way that it looks like it's that it's it goes in it's synced up to the words that we're saying.
Right.
It's so stupid. But there's one part in it where it goes to this shot from Rolling Thunder, and it looks like the character is saying what I'm saying.
That Piccolo looking character.
Yeah, the guy, the
bad guy.
Yeah. And I finish my sentence and his mouth stops moving at the same time. Oh, there's Wrestling with Gaming. I wish I could stick up this, but I want to at least drop by and say thank you for your service.
I mean, Wrestling with Gaming was the original CDI fan that I knew of before Audi became such a CDI fan.
I think we materialized at the same time for different groups, because the CDI has been kind of part of me. I guess it's part of all of us, for many years. But then, like, John took it to an extreme, and now it's what defines me after 17 years in the industry.
He was he was fighting. I remember at Retro World he was. Apparently he and Jimmy Hoppa had been talking about the CDI, and Jimmy wanted me to pass along a message to him about the CDI. I don't remember what it was though.
The funny thing was, like, suddenly I started getting these mentions on Twitter, like, Audi needs to, like, do videos with wrestling with gaming. And I wrote a book called Wrestling with Pixels, which is about every wrestling game ever made. So I was like, they're getting it wrong. Like, my book isn't called this. But then I looked it up, and it was an actual guy, and he loved Thunder in Paradise, which, of course, is the best game on the CDI. And then people were like, yeah, you have to do a video with them. So, as I said earlier, and if he's still here, I'm sure 2021 we can make this happen. The CDI extravaganza has to happen.
There was a $2 donation from Chris Fratt saying about getting good dumps from your games. So you just got to pinch it out of the cart.
Yeah, just squeeze out every bit of that dump, make sure it falls correctly.
And it run the you get the, what is it called, the like a checksum on it, make sure that it's
turn around and do a checksum.
You got to inspect your dump and make sure that everything is in order.
I mean, that's what Artemio says. You have to do it right every time.
I'm sure he does.
Even if it's tedious.
Wrestling with Gaming says, Jimmy told me to tell you that the CDI sucks. Was the first thing you said to me.
That's right.
How inconsiderate. It's doing the best it can. It's not much, but it's at least trying.
But boy, is it trying.
Boy, is it trying. Well, I mean, where else can you play Thunder in Paradise and watch the show at the same time? And I loved Thunder in Paradise. That was my favorite show when it was on TV, and I couldn't believe they canceled it after just one season. I still don't understand how this could be possible.
I find it much more difficult to get like momentum in this game than Faces of Evil. It just seems harder to. I feel like I'm not like getting the items that I need or finding the locations I need. It seems a little tougher than Faces of Evil.
Yeah, it could be more obtuse.
You gotta bomb the skull wall? Where was that?
Skull wall. Okay. Go bomb it.
Was that in this town or was it somewhere else? I can't even remember.
Guy Manley saying, "Yeah, I've never seen this game in 60 FPS. Almost looks impressive."
It really is magical to see a CDI game in 60 frames per second. That is like 58 more frames than I'm used to.
Oh, is it this? Oh, for some reason, like I didn't even try because I thought in the other game, I thought that those kinds of barriers were always the gauntlet.
Oh.
So that's why I didn't even try it. Whoops.
I guess all the old video reviews were before 60 FPS on YouTube. So does that mean that this live stream is going to be the definitive look at this game?
I guess so, because I mean he's actually making his way through both of them at this point. You're pretty far along in this game too now.
She must be stopped.
I'm definitely not as far along. I'm not making as speedy a progress.
They aren't very long though, as you noticed.
No.
I mean, you can get through. I used to be, when I played Faces of Evil, I used to go through it pretty quickly eventually. This also remember you need the ropes here somewhere. I think.
Yeah, I never used a rope in the previous game until.
Oh yeah, I think that's because it could be that they removed some of the need for that because in the original
really?
games you need ropes everywhere.
What was the like? How far apart was this in the last game? Like
They released the same day.
Same
Oh,
day,
okay.
October '93.
So,
Yeah.
I guess
so
that makes
it was this is where Nintendo got the idea for Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, you see.
Of course it was. I mean,
Uh-huh.
they looked at that CDI release and were just like, we gotta do this, boys. Yeah, there's a lot of sections in this remastered mode that I think has been made easier overall.
Look at the reflections on this swamp. Spider-Man got
Yeah,
nothing
it's
on this.
Ray tracing.
right over there in Washubi Swamp. Washubi dooby doo.
What should we do?
Washubi.
Washubi.
Look at this, like, I can't tell if this, like, hut is supposed to be, like, way in the background. If I'm supposed to imagine that she's, like, walking up to the hut, or if she's, like, crashing and going in, like, a tiny hobbit door.
I'm guessing it's in the background, but let's just say it's a Hobbit door. Combine the universes.
There's a $2 donation from Chris Pratt saying, "Never forget Puddlegate." That's the Spider-Man thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stabber. There you go.
You're might puny to go up against Ganon. I'll do all right. That's the spirit. Bring some Hanuspore
I
if you
mean-
want a bit more punch.
Puddlegate, it seems so quaint compared to like what's happened with Cyberpunk.
Oof, yeah, I mean, that's another can of worms, isn't it?
Yeah,
Boy.
I don't have a real interest in. At least
Neither
I
do
mean,
I.
we were talking about Cyberpunk punk before the stream about just like it's just too much game for me.
Yeah, it is for me as well. I enjoy singular great experiences in video games. I am not into these massive sprawling, AAA games. But it is. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying it's not for me. But certainly for those who enjoy it, looks like a great game for them.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Just I was saying about if it's for people that like want one game that they can play for a year straight. At least that's how it feels to me.
The Nokia N-Gage TV mod. The Nokia N-Gage. Now that's a handheld. Does have a Sonic game though. I remember the N-Gage gives me like PTSD because I didn't have it, but I was in Germany with John once, and it was right before the release of a certain book I made that you can get on Amazon right now called Wrestling with Pixel. And we were just going for the manuscript, and it has over 600 games in it because it has everything. And John was like, "Was there ever a wrestling game on N-Gage?" I was like, "No, not that I can recall. I don't remember this." And he Googled it, and finally he found it. He's like, "Yeah, you're missing the N-Gage game." I was like, "Oh my god! Like, I need to go back in time and fix this." So I had to find someone with an N-Gage, a working N-Gage, which is surprisingly difficult. I guess not many people bought it. And then I had to find someone that had a copy of that game, which was even more difficult. So, but finally I did track down someone that had it, and I managed to add it. But I just remember that was... I panicked.
It's called.
As I
You're
sat
like, oh
there.
god.
I can't miss that game. That's the most important. That's the key to everything.
Engage. I just remember Side Talking, the old website for Side Talking. Just like people talking on the
Oh yeah.
taco-shaped phones.
It was an interesting. It's an interesting console.
Yeah.
I had a Tomb Raider game. I remember Tony Hawk.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I worked at EB when it came out,
Yeah.
and it
some
was
people bought
like
it.
nobody bought it. You know, it's just
No, I had one guy in school that had it, and I think he had the Sonic game, and I was like, "This is the worst Sonic game I've ever played." This is before the year 2006, so yeah, I don't have any memories of it. It was when John did the Tony Hawk episode.
oh right, yeah.
He-
Did you capture that footage for him?
Yeah, I had to find that footage for him because one thing is to find a unit, but capturing it it's impossible. And I could not He was like, well, the only guy that could possibly find this kind of bad games is you, so please find it. And I spent a few days, and I finally found some kind of Russian archive for the N-Gage. And in there, they had the press kits, the original press kits. You could download them, and they had direct capture of Tony Hawk. So we finally got it. I don't know if there's even an emulator for that stuff. Not that I could at
feel
least.
like there should be, but maybe someone can develop a HDMI mod for the N-Gage.
Yes, please do. If you're out there and you're wondering
The
what your next
N-Gage
project is,
consolizer.
N-Gage consolizer should be your next. If you want to make I don't know, 50
Get
bucks.
on it, Woozle. After you're done with Neo
If you
Geo
want to
Pocket
make
and-
50 bucks, more like if you want to lose like 5,000
Yeah.
bucks.
Well, one person will probably buy it.
It's time to give the world exactly what they want right now,
I
which
thought
is
she wanted fair
the N-Gage consolizer.
Talking about preservation of
We'll do a
games,
45-minute video on it.
Yes, please do. But the Java and the Japanese iMode, those cell phone games are lost. Many of them are just lost now, and I mean that's not too good. This is another issue I ran into, and I've been running into it when writing my books in general, not just that one, but others that I'm working on currently. Is that certain games that came out for iMode, which was a Japanese service, those games are lost. Like even the developers themselves don't have it. Like Taito released a few games, and I worked directly with Taito and actually used the opportunity. It's like, hey, do you have iMode games? And they were just like, why would you even ask that question? Like, what would you want with that?
Well, and there's so many, games from major series like Castlevania and stuff have lost cell phone games, I think.
The interesting thing about when you mention Castlevania, though, is that they're not lost, because someone recently, there's an emulator called Messen, which allows you to do HD packs for NES games, basically overlay new graphics. And someone actually made a mod to replace the graphics of the NES game with those cell phone graphics, because they were remakes. So you should check that out, because it's actually really cool looking. It's really nifty, and you can even replace the music to be the cell phone music.
Interesting.
So I love the Messen stuff too. When people make those HD packs, it's really cool.
There was a $2 donation from Jonathan G. Thank you. He says, what is Captain Picard's favorite gaming console?
The N-Gage.
Yeah, the N-Gage. And there is a $20 donation from Seth Williams. Thank you so much. Saying, thanks for the great content throughout the years. Your channel is one of my favorite, and your work is unique and important to video game culture. Cheers. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It's crazy to think that we've been doing it for this long.
I know. I was
release videos more frequently.
I know. I mean, we're definitely planning to get into more frequent updates next year. We've got a plan in place to get Analog Frontiers done pretty quickly. I'm not going to take any breaks from editing it as the remaining 3 parts are done, so we can get done.
I've loved that series so far. You've done amazing work.
I mean,
Analog Frontiers.
It's I'm kind of considering it the the magnum opus, and then I can let my hair down. It's okay.
I would really like a Blu-ray release of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely planned, for sure.
It's amazing to think. Yeah, I mean, you guys have been. It's weird to think how small this world is, because as we mentioned earlier, like we actually met, like in the 10 years ago, without realizing it. And then when John introduced me to you guys, I actually, I had not watched YouTube at all. I avoided YouTube almost entirely. And then he was like, "Hey, you should, check out these guys because we should work together doing some stuff." And I remember I was at his place and I watched one of your videos, and I'm trying to remember which one it was, but it was definitely one of the 101 videos, I think. But I just loved your style immediately, and I binge watched it until like 6 a.m. Pretty much like I'm doing today. I just watching it, and I was like, the next morning when John got up, I was like, I can't believe this good of content exists, because I 10 years ago, before I kind of just disappeared, whatever was on YouTube was like angry game nerd stuff, which I didn't enjoy at all. No offense to him, but it's just kind of like, that wasn't the style of content I like. I like historic and just kind of well-researched stuff. And I never realized that like DF Retro and My Life in Gaming, this sort of stuff existed and had existed for so many years. I felt like I missed out so much. So I had to binge watch you guys for like 2-3 nights. And then we became great friends, so.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I think that we have something like, I gotta be getting close to 200 episodes at this point.
I have no idea. I mean, and certainly a lot of live streams.
Yeah. We'll never have as many episodes as live stream.
We're clearly not going to finish both games tonight, so. But I did start to find my feet in this one a bit. I can't remember where the whiz robe was. I found the reflective shield, but I just can't remember where the whiz robe is. But maybe I will get back and finish this, because it clearly wouldn't take that long, and then I could say, I could say I did it.
How do you feel though? Like now that you actually, because as you mentioned, you never really played any of these.
No,
and now you finished one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely struck by. People clearly like thought about, they built these world maps here and thought about, what are all of these different locations and stuff, like I feel like, like we were saying earlier, I could really see some kid who, for whatever unfortunate reason, they had a CDI and no Nintendo system. And I could definitely see them looking at this world and seeing all these different locations and stuff like, oh, I wonder how I can get there and what's going to be there and stuff. And I could really see like these worlds capturing your imagination as a kid, right? It's a shame that the original games, were not all that playable. In my understanding, anyway. I've not actually played it on a real CDI, but I mean, they're quirky, they're easy to laugh at, for sure, but they're this unique footnote, on the Zelda series history, and I'm glad that Dopley has finally given me such an accessible opportunity to get a closer look at them, and has made it so comparatively painless to actually play through the game from the beginning to the end. So this is a wonderful thing you've done, and whether your next project is some experiment like this, or something that you're building from the ground up for your to make something totally new. I wish you the best in your endeavors. You have added something very valuable here.
Well said.
Yeah, Yeah.
I can't really add anything to that other than
Yeah, me either.
it's
It's been neat to see it.
Yeah, it's neat to see, and he took a game idea that was flawed and didn't play well, and he made it actually play well. So
Yeah.
it's really a testament to his skill.
And even though this is such a different approach from, say, the Super Mario 64, reverse engineered port, it's very different approach, but it still fills that niche of, here's a game that people might not have access to the hardware to play in its original form, rather than emulate it on emulators that may be of varying accuracy. Let's have a native way to play this on a PC, or have it in a form that could also be ported to homebrew methods for other consoles, etc. So I really love this idea of making fan PC versions, in any sort of method of some of these games that might be less accessible for people. So, and I
agree.
saw that there was a last minute $5 super chat from Vanessaria. Thank you, saying you all are the best. Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you so much to everyone as well as the wonderful support shown here. Well, and thank you as always. And that does remind me, I guess, this is the last stream before Christmas, because Christmas is next Friday.
I hope everybody has a great holiday.
Yeah. Next stream will be the day after Coury's birthday, so you'll have to treat yourself to something you really want to play.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, I see Sarumaru is in the chat, who after we're done with this, I'm gonna go watch his video unboxing and video about Paprium.
Oh.
So I've been like dying of laughter since Paprium started getting in people's hands. The only videos for days that were popping up online were like cameras pointing at the TV, like of them playing in composite. That's the only thing that was like out there, and there was like many videos that looked
Before
exactly
someone
like
had like direct capture.
Yeah, like nobody has direct capture, but then Sarumaru got his copy and did an unboxing and has some direct feed footage over on his channel. So I'm gonna go check that out after this. But I was laughing about that because every single thing I was so many suspect videos. It almost made it seem like, well, maybe it's not real, because it's just like people's just like cameras were pointed at the TV screen, and it's like sideways, and also like you can see like the case of the game and everything is all in the shot, and it's like playing in composite, and they're all like on YouTube at 240p. So I was like how come all these videos are the same way? It almost made it seem more unbelievable that it's not actually that the game is even out.
I saw there was also a last minute $2 super chat from John Perry G with a little controller dude saying GG, and it's such a unusual yet charming controller design there. I feel like it would be a great fit for a future third-party controllers episode that could go, alongside what was that weird Genesis controller with like the yellow D-pad?
Oh, Turbo.
The Turbo Touch. The Turbo Touch.
Yeah.
It looks like the cooler cousin of the Turbo Touch. The little GG controller there.
Well, also a big thanks to Audi for hanging in there and being on stream with us.
Yeah,
guiding us through this experience.
It's gonna be sunrise over there.
The sun never comes up here. I live in the land of darkness. But
what is like that far north? Like, what is like sunrise and sundown for you?
Yeah, so
At
the
this
sun will
time of
come up
year.
At like at this time of year, we'll be up at like 10:30 a.m.
Wow.
and then we'll go down again at 2 p.m. So like,
Really?
4 hours of sun-ish, and even then, like if the sun shows up, like generally it does not. So
Wow, that's so
I-
fascinating.
I sort
I
of
remember when-
the sun,
Oh.
but it's been so long.
2 days to the shortest day of the year too.
Yeah.
I believe it's the 22nd.
Well, I was
it's
really.
funny.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go on. You go.
I was just gonna say thank you for having me. I mean, it's so much fun. I hope to come back soon.
Well, yeah, well, it was
Yeah.
your idea for us to do this, so.
Well, how could I not suggest it?
I know. As soon as you said it, I'm like,
tweets, up the rear end about like, when are you gonna do anything on this? And it's like, I'll find a way. I don't do my own YouTube stuff, so I have to wait until someone has so little to do that they can invite me.
all right, well, it's been good times, and
Yeah. Thanks everybody for the donations and everything, and we'll see you on Sunday. Hopefully everybody has a happy holiday. You know, see you on the other side of that.
all right. Good night, everyone.
Good night,
night.
everybody.